All right. Get that awkward pause at the beginning out of the way where we wonder whether or not we're actually live.
Oh, kill.
And all right. Hey, internets, it's Jake, and welcome to Mini Terrain Domain. Tonight, I am going to be running the latest adventure module released from Absolute Tabletop, Horror at Misty Meadows. And I am joined by 4 individuals who will be playing the game today, and we'll get to introductions in just a moment. But a quick note, if you are watching this game live, immediately following this broadcast at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be on a separate hangout on this channel, youtube.com/miniterraindomain, where I will be sitting down and talking with Matt Click, Tim and James Carney, and Barker himself from Absolute Tabletop. It's a really unique opportunity to talk to the creators of this module after running it. If you're watching it at a later time after it's been recorded, the link will be down in the description, so you can click over to that interview at your leisure. All right, gentlemen, we're going to start from my left to right. I'll call you each off. Go ahead and introduce yourself, plug any social media that you want to plug, and tell us the name of your character and your character race. Let's start with Nelson.
Yes, hello, I am Nelson. I operate the YouTube, Facebook, and Drive-Thru RPG store, all found under the name of Infinite Roleplay. I do roleplay stuff, I run games, I play games, and I make stuff for games. Tutorials and all that lovely stuff. Today, I will be playing Leogen Graham. He is a half-elf, and we'll soon what he's capable of. Soon see what he's capable of while we're playing. We'll see, I guarantee you.
All right. And next, Jeff.
Well, my name is Jeff Rummel. I'm kind of new to this particular grouping, but I work with a group called Inroads Ministries, and we use a lot of board games and role-playing games, and we have a lot of fun over on our YouTube channel where we're currently running a Victoriana actual play. Having a lot of fun with that game system. It's just really, really right up my alley when it comes to steampunk. I've been gaming for about 25 years, on and off, doing a lot of game mastering, so I'm really happy to be in the player's seat tonight. And I will be playing Linka Merrywater, who is a halfling, and he's a city guy, but he's been cast out onto the road for reasons that might become apparent for all concerned. I get to devolve into an accent too, so I'm going to do that too.
All right. And Mr. Tony.
Sure, good evening. My name's Tony. I'll be playing Zilfire Whitehall, half-elf warlock from noble background. He usually looks out of place in any kind of adventure party because he still carries the aura of his nobility of his family and the way he dresses. And you'll think he'll be out of place, and he'll surprise you when you least expect it.
All right, and last but most certainly not least, Mr. Ken.
Hi there, Ken Sheffield. That's what you'll find me on all the Facebook groups. On the YouTubes, you'll find me as Wayward Son if you do a lot of work. Obviously, that name's a lot, and I've yet to get the name for myself yet, but it is out there, and you can find the links in Facebook or ping me if you'd like. I'm playing Tharic Oathbreaker. He is a mountain dwarf, warhammer wielding, armored up fella that has some surprises when you get to it. And he just wants to say, y'all fellers all got funny accents, and there's too dadburn many half things for my pleasure, but y'all need my help, so we'll do what we got to do.
All right. So without further ado, we are going to join our adventurers on the road and get started. So let me paint a picture for you as we get going. The gold mining town of Misty Meadows is named for the perpetual mist that veils it. This phenomenon has never fully been explained. Some locals say it's a magical fog. Others call it a gift from the earth itself. Many believe the fog stems from the nearby tar pits to the west, or Saltbreath Bay to the southeast. But no matter its origin, the fog has always been considered good luck by the residents of Misty Meadows. Until now. As of late, the thin veil of mist has accumulated, becoming thicker and more obtrusive, and with the fog came a series of odd, unsettling occurrences. Now the town of Misty Meadows is mysteriously empty, and the fog is thicker than ever. But regional rumors say something dark dwells in the minds of Misty Meadows. Something ancient, something sinister, something patient. And now this adventure is going to begin, as many scary stories do, in a dark forest on a stormy night. Y'all have been trudging down an old unmaintained road for hours. At one time, your party was much larger, as you were joined by many other travelers on the road. But as often happens, people branch off into smaller trails. People head off and break off to their various towns and cities that they're heading off for, and adventures of their own. Till eventually, it was just the four of you left on this old unmaintained road. You had a wagon. You were sharing it. But the mud proved to be too much for the wagon. And so you left it behind. The rain has been pounding down on the forest canopy above, creating a deafening roar. Between the forest and the storm clouds and the thickening fog, it's been getting darker, unnaturally darker. Rain has been dripping through the dense branches and foliage, and with every step you take, it's a slog as your feet sink down into the mud. There's no animals roaming here, no birds flitting from tree to tree, no little critters running around. There are no signs of life, except for the flora that surrounds you, which gives off a potent, earthy smell. You've been trekking through these woods all day, and now the night's fallen, the road and the forest around you are becoming difficult to see. When suddenly, the rain stops. The haunting silence that follows is unnatural. Now, you can't see the sky through this fog, but you suspect the clouds have just as suddenly broken open, and the full moon is shining its glory from behind those clouds. And though you can't see it, the moon's glow is illuminating the fog all around you, creating an eerie, unnatural sort of twilight. Some of this light up ahead of you, just a little piece on the road, seems a bit more yellowish. It's moving around. It's kind of bobbing, weaving back and forth, creating bizarre shadows from the trees. These barren, skeletal trees, their shadows are reaching out towards you, grasping at your cloak and your armors, their incorporeal fingers grasping at your faces and your throats, but finding no purchase as they are mere shadows. Before long, you see bursting through the fog a ray of lantern light that appears to be affixed on the forehead of a humanoid figure walking towards you. You hear the familiar sound of feet slogging through and slorking in the mud as you've heard for the last several hours. But then you hear a sound that ain't none of you heard. And you realize that this figure is not moving as naturally as a normal person or humanoid figure might move. It is at this point that you begin to see that what you thought was shadow cloaking it is instead a thick, viscous tar running down, coating it from its feet up through its midsection. You see in the pale, eerie moon fog light the white of bones of its ribcage protruding through the torn remnants of a jacket, and you see tendrils of gore hanging down from its empty left shoulder socket. And in this eerie light, and in the lantern light that's cast about from the light on its forehead that you now see is attached to a helmet, it raises its left arm, which is grasped in its right arm, holding a rusty pickaxe as it approaches you. What do you want to do?
First, I think I'd like to run. No, but my first reaction would be to probably get behind the dwarf.
I too will run, but not in the direction you might suspect. Warhammer comes out, and I charge it.
Linka is left there to go as his cover disappears.
All right, without further ado, y'all need to roll initiative.
Oh boy, first roll.
Right. Let's start. 107.
That is the highest initiative I ever saw.
I have. Let's see here.
Starting out good tonight at 4.
Good, be patient. Let me handle it. You may not be needed.
Yep, I don't want to get my robes dirty.
All right, Theric, what'd you get? Let's see. All right, you guys are posting
50.
in there. All right, Theric, tell me how you attack this thing.
Literally, just in the most primal charge you've ever seen. I see it. I whip out my warhammer and just slam it upside the head, if at all possible.
All right, let's see what happens.
I think I do slam it upside the head, actually. 24.
Oh yeah, you get a good solid hit on this thing.
All right. Now I'm swinging it two-handed, so I'll do 9 points of damage. Bludgeoning.
All right. You knock this thing upside its head and you send its helmet flying across the road. The shadows dance around all of you, spinning as the helmet crashes on the floor of the forest, shattering, and lamp oil spreads across the wet mud and sets on fire, and the flames begin licking up, casting all of you in an added glow of firelight.
Oh, would you look at that? The dwarf took it down with one hit.
Oh, it's not down. It's stumbling.
Oh, it's down. It may not know it yet. It's down.
Just its helmet went flying as its head spins around much further than it should have, and you hear the cracking of vertebrae as your strike breaks bone, and those vertebrae crack back as it turns to look at you. Leodron,
Oh,
what are you
bugger
gonna
me.
do?
What the hell?
Raising an eyebrow and turning to my compatriot who recently lost his cover. I'm surprised the dwarf could move like that in the mud.
Oh, you're telling me, man.
Reaching into his coat, he begins whispering at the collar. Pulls out a bow. And goes, well, I guess it's going to be one of those days, isn't it? Draws the bow back. No arrow in hand, currently. But upon taking a deep breath, releases the string, and he fires a flaming arrow at this creature.
Excellent.
16.
That is going to be a hit.
17 points of fire damage.
So as your flaming arrow streaks through the dark of the night, and the flame of your arrow mixes with the burning lantern oil, tell us what it looks like as you kill this tar zombie.
It's more like what our friend Thoric would hear and see as the arrows flying through the air, the roar going past his head, the heat adding to his cheeks of the flame on the floor. It smashes against this unholy creature, bursting into its body, into its form, spraying this tar across the mud. Again, reluctant to remain dead, the creature still howling its disturbing howl, the noises as it falls and grows silent.
The only sound you hear in the night now, besides the occasional drip of rainwater still falling from the canopy, is the crackling of the lantern oil fire and the fire that burns on the flesh and clothing of this dead zombie. What do y'all want to do?
I, for one, I'm much glad that it's down, but maybe we should get moving, get out of the way of this thing. I don't want it to have any friends that might be running around here.
Gonna say, keep your eyes open. They travel in packs.
What are you talking about, packs? They travel in packs, you say?
That's right.
Bugger me. Okay. All right. I'll take a look around and see what I see. So I'll see if I can get into like the shadows, to like do a quick hide and then look around and see if there's anything else coming up.
We'll be alright. I'll kill half of one, and one of y'all manage to kill the rest of it. We'll be alright. Just keep up that pattern. We'll be good to go.
All right. You're easily able to slink into the shadows.
Okay.
And you look around, and you keep your ears as if in the same manner that you would open your eyes wider, you've learned to open your ears wider. And you listen, penetrating into that darkness. And you don't hear anything moving.
Being in the places that I've had to sneak into, that sort of thing, I kind of give it another couple beats before I nod my head and then come back to the trail. Okay, lads, I think we're all clear. I think this one is just a roamer all by itself. What do you think? Go give it a poke there, Thorax. Make sure it's gone.
All right, I'll do that. I walk up to it, I take the hammer in two hands, and I just attempt to crush the skull in a coup de grace manner.
You are met with the satisfying, wet crunch as its skull disintegrates, and a thick, viscous, not so much blood as tar and bits of brain matter go splattering across your hammer and your shins.
And just as this skull explodes, I suddenly realize, I wonder if it was a human. No matter. All right.
From what you could see as you were bringing your hammer down, and you saw this thing pretty clearly in the light that it cast, it definitely appeared that if it wasn't human at the time you killed it, at one time it may have been human.
All right.
Right after Thoric does that, Zilfire walks up to Thoric and says, "Friend, I need to clean up. I have this mud on me, and you're making such a mess of yourself. I believe we need to proceed on. It's time to get out of this damp and dark and this humidity. I'm not used to this."
You know what, Zilfire, whatever your name is, when you live in the caves, you never deal with this crap. It ain't raining. It's always dark, so you're used to it. It's just much better. Much better. That's all I got to say. You want to move on? I'm all for moving on.
That sounds like an idea to me. If we can get out of these woods, maybe into some kind of a town, that'd be nice.
Well, some kind of town. All right.
So as you all proceed down the road, leaving behind the shattered skull and burned body of this zombie figure, it ain't more than a mile before you come over the crest of a hill and find yourself looking over a very small town. You see maybe a handful of buildings on the outskirts, and you see about a half a dozen buildings in what would be the town proper. You don't see any lanterns lit. You don't see any fires burning. You see all of this by this unnatural, almost bioluminescent glow that's coming from the moon through the fog. Just at the side of the road is the remnants of a broken sign hanging from one chain that says, "Welcome to Misty Meadows. Stay the night." About the only thing eerier than this mist is how quiet it is.
I look down in my hooded lantern, and I wonder, it's probably not doing very good in this mist right now. It's probably just causing it to be harder to see. Is that kind of the case, or?
You find that your lantern light is being reflected back at you through all the moisture in the air, more so than it is casting about. And you can't see more than a few feet in front of you at times. But as you come over this hill, it seems as if the fog kind of parts a little bit to let you see the town, and then it seems to kind of waver in and out. So you see the town, and then you don't see the town. Almost as if it were suspended in the clouds.
Well, for the second sigh of the evening, he looks down at the lantern, looks up at the fog, and just kind of, ain't nothing for it. I guess it ain't gonna be much help anyway. I'll keep it out just in case, but I'm gonna douse it for now. So I'll turn it out.
You can smell something in the air, besides the damp and the moisture. It smells, well, you smelled a hint of this on the zombie back there. It's a kind of earthy smell that has a bit of a potency to it. It's a little bit acrid, and it seems to kind of waft on the air from the distance, mingling with the salt smell and the earthy smell.
Rest of y'all smell that stench?
I have to be frank with you, I thought it was you.
It might well be, but there's more than just me. It smells kind of like that thing we killed back there.
If anybody wants to roll it, if anybody wants to roll some kind of nature check, try to determine the smell, you're welcome to do that.
Oh, boy.
You did get a fair bit of it on you, didn't you?
Yeah. I ain't got time to rinse it off. This nasty is as nasty is, and it ain't gonna change. So, yeah, I got no clue what this stench is.
And I guess would a investigation work or nature definitely?
Probably nature.
Okay, give it a shot. It's not my forte. I'm a city boy. Oh, okay. 18 plus 1, 19.
Actually, being from the city has proven to be a benefit, because you've heard that, or you recognize the smell from inside some of the larger cities, where they've used this stuff to seal up roofs on bigger buildings. They've patched holes in roads. They've even experimented with trying to cover entire roads in this stuff. It's something known as tar, and it occurs naturally in the earth. But for there to be this strong of a smell, there must be some kind of tar source not too far away.
Oh, maybe this town's trying to get a little bit better than it is. Maybe it's trying to pave some roads so they can get more people in here, because right now it seems awful dead.
Well, a little bit I can see it could use an upgrade. Yeah, hope you're right. Anybody see anything that looks like an inn?
I don't know, Thor, but my friend, I was ready for that hot bath, but with this smell waking through, I believe that you probably should go first tonight.
Right. So no, that's a no. You don't see it? Fine. I'll try to find a street that may or may not be covered in tar and head that way. Just walking on in. When
So
I
you
can see you.
As you head down into the town, you see a few buildings looming out of the fog that you saw from up on the hill. A couple houses.
There is a house?
You hear a sound from immediately to your right that is probably the first sound other than the zombie and the rain that you've heard in a while. And at first you just hear a coming from immediately to your, I think I said to the right.
That needs investigating. I go that way. Come on, fellers. Stay behind me. I'll keep you safe.
So as you turn to the right, you see that you're standing in front of a building, and almost directly above your head, you can hear, and it is a large meat cleaver hanging from the overhang of the building. And engraved into this meat cleaver is the words Leroy's Butcher Shop.
Well, I like butcher shops. I'll go up, pound on the door.
Is it actually like a metal meat cleaver, or is it like a wooden sign?
Some of the paint's peeled off, giving away the illusion that it is a wooden sign painted to look like a giant meat cleaver.
Linka kind of like breathes a sigh of relief, kind of leaning on his thighs for a second. He's like, I thought for a second there might be ogres up in here with cleavers that big.
Oh, don't be teasing me. You see an ogre, you let me know.
As you walk up to the door of Leroy's Butcher Shop, you find that it's ajar. There's no need to pound on the door.
Well, I'll pound on it anyhow. Anybody here?
Is there a place like near the front of this that I could hide?
On either side of the door, there is the frame and the outer walls. There's one giant window immediately to the right of the door, and to the left is wooden wall.
All right, I'll try and slink up to there and try and get a gander through the window. I don't really have an interest in going in the door.
The sign, the meat cleaver sign, does it show any sign of rusting or a growth of moss?
It shows neither, as it appears to be wood painted to look like a meat cleaver. So it's not rusting in any way, and you don't see any kind of moss or any unusual growths on it. It appears to have natural weathering. And Theric and Linka, since you're both kind of looking in there, Zilfire and Leodron, what are you guys doing?
I'm going to stay about probably 10 foot behind the dwarf, just kind of at the edge in the street there, just kind of observing from there.
Everybody's standing behind the door.
Yeah, well, with the bow in hand, I'm not gazing into the building so much as I am looking outside to make sure that nothing else comes out from the fog behind us.
Theric and Linka, go ahead and roll me a investigation check.
All right.
I'm not mediocre.
11 plus 4, 15.
9.
Linka, as you're staring through the window looking into this shop, some of this unnatural light coming from outside is glinting off of several somethings metallic on the far side of the room, up near the ceiling.
Up near the ceiling. Oh, okay.
Theric, what you notice is a horrific smell of large quantities of meat that is rotten. And standing in the doorway, you can hear of what sounds like dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of flies buzzing around.
All right. Nobody's directly behind me, right? They're all a few feet back.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna step back and pull the door to. And I'm gonna say, well, it's a waste of a whole lot of good meat, I suspect. Nobody's been here for a while. We could go take out a bunch of flies if you want, but I find it hard to kill them one at a time. But we can do it.
And you have Linka's kind of like doing this little number, like at the window. He's like kind of like looking through the window right now. And in his right hand, you see like kind of it's a copper coin. It's like been tarnished and stuff. You can tell he's held it for a long time. It's kind of rolling along the top of his knuckles. He's like, "You sure you don't want to go in and check it out? I see some sparklies in there."
I'll be happy to if you want. I just wanted to make sure y'all wanted to come in. Don't matter none to me. There's a lot more of this town to explore, I suspect.
All right, well, as long as we come back, I think. Did the door lock when you pulled it closed? Can we still get in?
Oh, we can get in. I don't know if it locked or not, but I assure you we can get in. Worst comes to worst, there's that big plate glass window there. I don't expect nobody owns it now.
He takes the copper coin and it's kind of like, okay, we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. I'm just kind of saying that to himself almost, and he steps away. All right, let's go see if there's something else then.
You know, the easiest way to find out if there's something else is we could just walk down the middle of the street yelling for folks to come out.
Linka, I need you to roll a perception check.
That's not my strong suit. Oh wait, no, I did take that as a focus. Never mind. I was like, oh, cool. There it is. All right. That is 13 plus 6, 19.
As you're turning away from this window, you see much closer to the glass as something glints, catching the light, as only a metallic object that is moving can catch the light. And at the last second, you realize that this something metallic, something glinting in the light, is moving very rapidly toward the glass on a trajectory that will take it through the glass and directly into you if you don't move out of the way now.
Hi, booger me! And I roll to the side out of the way.
As you roll to the side, there's a tremendous crash as the glass of the window breaks out, and you see a putrid, beefy arm holding a massive meat cleaver just comes through the window and slams into the wood of the frame where you were just a moment before. And it pulls itself loose and moves around, breaking more of the glass. And you see a thick leg step through the window frame. And another one step through. And standing in front of you, wearing a bloody apron and a rotten, askew butcher's hat on top of its head, which you can only assume is a Leroy, holding two massive meat cleavers in his hands. And he raises them forward, and he goes, shink, 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 and then raises them above his head as he prepares to take another strike at you. Go ahead and roll initiative.
The Odin starts yelling out, "Yes! Thoric! Thoric!" And loses his dice.
I'll let y'all get this one first.
Don't you even think about it.
Y'all
oh my gosh. 19 plus 3, 423. There we go. Oh my gosh.
All right, hold on. Let's see what Leroy gets. Mhm. And that's going to be, there we go. All right, so Linka, it's fitting, as you're closest to Leroy, that you get the first strike on him.
Oh boy. Yeah. So he whips out his short sword and takes a slash across him. And as he's doing it, he's yelling out. He's like, "Oh my God, this isn't my night!" And then just slash across as best he can. So we'll do that. Let's see here. Short sword plus 7. 10 plus 7, 17.
You feel the satisfaction as your short sword finds purchase in Leroy's desiccated flesh.
Oh my gosh. So is this close enough for sneak attack, or is my folks close enough to do that, or no?
Theric was right there by you, so.
Okay. All right, here we go. I've got 1d6, unfortunately, so I'll have to roll it a few times. So that's 3, 4, so 7. 3 is 10, and a 1 is 11. So 11 points of damage.
So as your short sword swings almost reflexively through the air and finds purchase in Leroy's flesh, the apron splits, and at first glance it appears as though several links of sausage have spilled out from his apron as you realize his intestines are spilling out of him.
Oh my gosh. Linka basically is like, and then he will take the disengage action and will get out of the way. So I'm basically going to get out to the street into the open.
And as Linka moves out of the way, Leodron, you have an opening.
Leodron, in almost a haste and a panic at seeing such a massive thing just, make its way through the window in its ambush, pulls and looses 2 arrows, seemingly out of nowhere. Ooh, the highest I rolled was a 12.
That's enough.
All right, so 1 arrow just whistles by, off into the distance, and the second finds its mark in the desiccated, rotten flesh of this thing that was once Leroy, and 18, 19, 20. There's 21 points of piercing damage.
Once again, Leodron, tell us what it looks like as your arrow rips all the way through Leroy.
You can hear the arrow just fly, one missing its mark, the second, and as it makes its contact with Leroy, the horrid sounds as it makes its way into the flesh, through the flesh, missing all bone, hitting nothing but skin, meat, fat, organ. You can hear it fly out in a similar fashion, and knocking over some items inside of the butcher's shop. And again, Leodron is just screaming out, "Theric!"
You got this, fellas.
And you hear as your arrow rips through Leroy, leaving a hole big enough that you can actually see through into the shop. And you hear the clattering of what sounds like a few metallic objects falling to the ground and clinking and clattering. And Leroy stands there for a moment, and you hear 2 loud thunks as his meat cleavers drop from his hands. One of them boom, sticks into the wooden floorboards in front of the shop. The other one clatters down to the ground. Before a moment later, there's a tremendous as Leroy himself collapses at your feet.
So Theric, since he still has an initiative left, he'll move over and he'll say, "Well, Leroy, you got a bad break there, fella." And I'll look at the rest of the party. Oh, I forgot to ask. Any of y'all know what planet this is?
I, I, I don't, I don't know. And like Linka turns around and just heaves his guts onto the ground because this is like way too much of what he's not experienced this kind of stuff
See this
before.
happen. I'll look at the other two. How about y'all?
Zilfire just looks at Theric and says, real calmly, "Don't touch that body. We smell bad enough as it is, and chances of us having a warm, pleasant bath tonight is getting pretty slim."
Yeah. Well, I already smell enough, I reckon. I'm going to go ahead and crush its skull. If they all come after us headless, then I reckon that's a different story. So I'll go ahead and give it a good head crushing.
Wait.
Oh.
Let me examine this for a minute. Just give me a chance this time. And
Right.
Putting away his bow.
If it moves, though, I'm smushing it. Keep your fingers out if it starts moving.
And then removing a ledger and a piece of charred stick, he starts writing down and examining and taking notes of Leroy. He's looking at it, seeing the normal physiology of living things would be skin tissue and muscle and, most importantly, blood. Does this thing seem to have blood or have had blood, or is it full of something else?
What you see is blood all over his apron. Some of it is old, but some of it appears to be fresh. And you see a thick, black, viscous liquid where his wounds are, where his stomach was ripped open by Linka's sword, and where your arrow went through him. And
Most peculiar.
I would like you, Leodron, to make a dexterity saving throw.
Five.
Ooh, what's your AC?
13.
Leroy's beefy, meaty fist comes flying up off of the ground and connects solidly with your face. Dealing 5 points of bludgeoning damage and sending you reeling backwards so you're falling on your ass.
Now, may I attempt to connect solidly with his face? As I was stated, I would smash it at first movement.
I guess my only reply is,
with that blow from Leroy, Leodron is actually completely out of your line of fire, so you may swing away.
All right.
And
yeah,
there's not really a need to roll. He's laying
oh.
prone on the ground. Only his fist flew up.
There'll be 12 points of hammer to the face.
And that's exactly how many pieces you see of his skull go flying in every direction. And as you come down and your hammer connects solidly with the wooden planks behind where his head was, you see something through the mess that appears to have been around his neck come clattering to the ground. There is a pouch. And as this pouch clatters to the ground, you can see some glowing purple crystals that have spilled out of it across the floorboards and in the ichor of the remnants of his head.
Any of y'all into looting? Got some cleavers and some glowing purple crystals over here. It don't matter much to me.
Zilfire would touch up, say, Theric, do not touch those crystals. This is a job for my insight. And at that point, I will use my Eldritch Sight and cast Detect Magic on those crystals.
It's a very peculiar sight indeed, as these glowing purple crystals begin to also glow quite powerfully with the blue of your Detect Magic. There's obviously a very powerful magic that is emanating from these, and I believe you get to know the school as well, correct? Open right to it. Yep, very powerful necromantic energies indeed.
I would look at Theric at first and then the rest of the party and say, friend dwarf, these things of these crystals, they are very necromantic. They are not good. Whatever this is and wherever it's come from, this could be the problem with what we just faced.
Well, they ought not leave them to fall into the wrong hands. You want to whip them or scoop them up somewhere.
So what are you saying? Is it dangerous to hold? And he's like, Link is still trying to kind of catch his breath, and he's wiping his face a bit from when he is vomiting, and he walks over, kind of gingerly stepping in a larger circle around Leroy to kind of give it distance, and so he's saying, so is it dangerous to hold? I mean, is it worth anything?
My halfling friend, I believe that the chances of you touching and holding these may be far dangerous than any value you may find in them.
I knew one of y'all was into. Figured it was. I wasn't going to make no accusations, but there he is.
And Link, these are pretty crystals. They're quite large, multifaceted, glowing with a powerful purple glow.
Oh, they are kind of nice looking, though. Yeah, sure, I can't just, hold on to them for a little while. It's not like I'm going to be bringing it straight away back to my clan. If I can get some loot, some gold out of it, I'll do it.
Zilfire just shakes his head, looks over at Leodrin and says, whispers to him, all these halflings, and just turns around.
Hi, I think I heard that. What do you mean, all these halflings?
At least it ain't a gnome.
Well,
you got a good point there.
To acquire them, be my guest. He's wiping whatever remnants of.
There's two
Leroy might be on
cleavers
his
over there
face.
too. You could probably get a copper or two for them. I'm sure y'all got big bags to fill up.
I ain't that desperate for that kind of thing, especially with the kind of mess that's on them. But these jewels, though, that's something different.
Well, grab them up. We got to find out what's going on with this dead fella here. Who knows who else is dead, and flies all around and rotten meat. It's a shame, but we got to go figure it out. That's what we do, right?
Right. That's right. So he kind of leans down. He's like scrunched down on his haunches, and he's like rubbing at his face and everything. It's almost kind of like he's standing in front of a puzzle box. Like he loves puzzle boxes, and so he's trying to think of like, what if I take one of my pouches and I pull it out, put it inside, I could probably pick it up like that. I do it. It's kind of like how Mrs. Whiffle would pick up after a dog. I could do that. So he like kind of leans down with a pouch, and he's trying to pick up one of the crystals and see if he can pick it up. And or how many are there? Is there a few, or is there just one or two?
About a half a dozen.
Wait.
Whoa.
Okay, I see him bending over and said, "What are you doing? You gonna actually touch those things?" I go,
Well, no, that's why I got my pouch here. I can use that to kind of pick it up.
"Hold on," and I make some gestures. Spectral hand scoops up a couple for him. Hold the pouch over and I'll put them in.
All right, go ahead. That's a good idea there, Trophy.
Don't. And I'll scoop them up and say, "Are we ready now? You sure you don't want them cleavers?"
I ain't gonna need the bloody cleavers. Okay.
All right. Fine. Don't.
So I like cinch up the pouch and rattle it a little bit.
Theric is easily able to use this spectral hand as you hold the pouch open and drop these crystals in. But I need Theric to make a wisdom saving throw.
Fail. Yeah, fail. I think that's a 4. Might be a 6 if I'm lucky.
Oh yeah, Leodron is sitting there with his ledger scrolling away at everything, taking notes.
Wait, so that was a 4 that you rolled?
I'm sorry. I'm spectacular here. It's I get a total of, with my +3 proficiency bonus, I get a total of +2. That's 7.
So now I'd like you to roll a d6.
A D6. Dose 2.
You feel, as you grasp these crystals and drop them into this pouch of Linka's, through the magical connection binding you to your spectral hand, you feel a jolt of energy that passes into you through that invisible connection, creating a brief numbness, and you take 1 necrotic damage.
Oh, crud.
Linka, give me a quick dexterity check.
Oh, dexterity, huh? All right. See how I do here. I'll use this one. Okay. That's a 14.
As these crystals are dropping into the bag, you're holding it open wide and you're kind of catching the crystals as the spectral hand drops them in. And at the last second, as Theric kind of jerks, the spectral hand kind of jerks, and 1 crystal just kind of falls to the side and it bounces off of your thumb where you were holding the bag and drops in. Roll a d6.
Not cool. Not cool. Well, not cool. I can't find my dice. There we go. That's a 3.
As soon as this crystal touches your thumb, you instantly feel a sensation as if you had run several miles, as if you had been awake for several days, as if you had been working out in the field and laboring for days without rest. All strength leaves your body, and you feel yourself washed over with a powerful sense of exhaustion.
Oh.
You are under the effects of 1 level of exhaustion.
Oh.
You roll ability checks at disadvantage.
Yep. Oh my gosh. 1 level exhaustion.
Zillfire looks at Linka and tells Linka, "Don't say I didn't warn you, Halfling. You look fairly ill. Maybe the smell of this meat."
All right, you're all right. I hear
Maybe
ya.
some fresh air. Maybe we should step outside.
I thought we already were outside. I'm just like looking around. He basically like sits down on the edge of the porch, like away from Leroy's like disgusting body. And he's trying to like catch his breath. Like he's like looking down at the pouch right now, and he's got it sealed up, and he looks at the pouch, and then he looks like where the crystal had touched his hand, and then like how he feels right now, and he's like, he kind of whispers to himself. You guys can probably hear it. He just, "It's for me, clan. It's for me, clan. It's worth it. It's worth it." So he'll tie the pouch around his belt and let it dangle there for now.
And at the same time, several steps away, Thoric is holding his numb area, kind of massaging it, trying to get the feeling back in it, and it's like, by the ancestors, what kind of world is this? The whole purpose of Mage Hand is to avoid this sort of crap. What have I gotten myself into? What have you gotten me into?
Sorry, I thought I was going to use the pouch to try and grab it. I didn't think that it would do something with your magic hand.
Neither did I. It's not supposed to. This is wrong. This is wrong.
Most intriguing, most intriguing.
I want to kill something. Are we done here?
I guess I suppose we are. Whatever was in there is probably covered with Leroy's nasty bits. Let's move on, see another place, see if there's somebody here.
Everybody roll perception.
2.
So just a clarification on the rules, I'm at disadvantage for all ability checks, right?
Pretty much for anything that involves you rolling a d20, you're at disadvantage.
Yeah.
Except attacks and saves.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's the next level.
Correct. Thank you.
Gotcha.
So yes, your ability checks such as this will be at disadvantage.
Got it. Okay. Alright, so perception check. There we go. Okay. Alright. Alright, not too bad. So I got a 19 and an 18. So
right.
That is a plus. Sorry, lost the number. This is why I should be printing out my character sheet.
Theric
Sorry,
is just you're
24.
Theric, you were obsessed with this numbness that penetrated your magic and affected you. But the rest of you hear behind you about 50 feet a pattering of what sounds like feet running across the wooden floorboards of the sidewalks in this town.
Oh. What do you suppose that is?
And you hear
I do propose that's Theric getting his wish. Puts away the ledger and reacquires his longbow.
Oh. Alright then. I guess we better go take a look then. Maybe it's somebody who needs some help.
Get your hammer ready, Theric.
If somebody needs some help, I'm sure. One way or the other. Let's go. And I head off into the fog in the direction of the pitter-pattering of little feet.
Linka tries to get his breath and then heaves himself up from the porch and... Alright then, let's get on with it.
How far away does it sound?
about 50 feet behind you. Or rather 50 feet down the road. So I guess it'd be kind of to the left of Leroy's shop.
Okay. So Linka decides to go ahead and put his short sword away, and he pulls out his short bow. He's not too eager to get close to another one. He's also curiosity going on right now. So he'll follow like a few good, like maybe, I don't know, what, like 10 paces behind Thoric.
Well, you said they're about 50 feet. I have a move of 25, so let's see if I can find them.
So as you move down the road in the direction of the sound you heard, you hear and then it kind of switches from the wood to feet moving through the muddy streets, and then across the street you hear there's the feet running across more wood.
It sounds like some...
Go ahead.
Or it sounds like somebody might be alive. Maybe?
Across the street and just down the ways, probably 50 to 75 feet away from you. It's hard to tell in this dark. You hear, but the door is open and shut.
If at some point in there, if there's a second between when he said that and when we heard the door shut, I'll just go ahead and say, hey, if you ain't up to no good, we ain't going to harm you.
It changes nothing.
Very
You
good.
still hear a door open, and you hear door close.
I'll do my best to go towards that door. I can make it out.
So as you kind of follow where you heard the sounds, you are led toward the front door of a homestead. No other buildings are immediately on either side, so it sounds as if the feet went this way.
All right. Well, I'll go right up to the door and knock like a person would. Somebody
I'm
in
gonna
there?
go. I'm gonna go slip around to the side of the house. I don't want another Leroy Jenkins flying, or sorry, another Leroy guy flying out of here. Sorry, it was in the chat. I apologize. So I blame chat. But yeah, I'm gonna sneak around the side as best I can, I guess, given circumstances.
That's all right. They were calling him Leroy Jenkins in the chat over at
Yeah,
YouTube,
that's
too.
exactly. Blaming them.
That may have been intentional on the publisher's part.
Maybe. We'll find out later.
All right.
So I'll slip around to the left side of the building.
Leroy
or the
Jenkins
house.
made me break character too. All right. Thurick, you knock on the door. You hear from inside this dwelling, and Luca, where you are on the other side, you hear, and you hear what sounds like somebody moving around inside, and then you hear,
If you can talk and you don't, you're liable to get hurt. A lot of things out here that we don't want to play games with. So if you can talk, speak up.
there's no response.
I turn and look at whoever's not hiding somewhere like elves or halflings or tend to do. Are any of them actually visible?
I mean, I would, just a bit, ways behind you with my bow drawn.
All right, good, good. I give you a pleasant nod. Shall I go in? Whatever it is.
Throws his bow back and just nods his head in response, pointing the arrow towards the doorway.
All right. I'll try the door nicely.
The door opens.
All right. What do I see with my dark vision?
Inside this home, you see obvious signs of struggle. Overturned furniture. You can see just inside what must be some kind of a dining area. That a table has been turned over. A couple of chairs laying on their sides. One of them appears to be broken. And you see a dark figure laying on the ground.
How far away is this dark figure?
Probably about 20 feet. It's not a large homestead.
Okay. I'm going to try one more time. All right, folks. Looks like an altercation has occurred in here. We don't want to hurt nobody. All right, then. Your choice. I'll go over and from about 5 feet away, I'll take my warhammer and well, first of all, do I see any signs of movement from this body lying on the floor?
As you grow closer, you see that this body appears to be that of a man lying face down with his head turned to the side, and you see of vacant, milky white eyes, and you see pale bluish skin. Some of the flesh has rotted off of his bones.
Can I see a pouch by any chance?
From the way the figure's laying on the ground, face down, you'd have to do a more thorough investigation.
I'm going to look back at my friend who's behind me, and I'll say, I think I gave him fair warning, right? And
do what you do best, friend.
Warhammer to the skull. That's my attempt.
Yet another satisfying brain crunch. This figure offers absolutely no resistance to your assault.
All right.
So is there a like a back door to this place, or is there a side window or something like that, or?
I think we heard something else creak, didn't we?
Indeed, to both questions. Yes, there's a side, there's a window around the side. There is no back entrance. But no, I take that back. There is a back entrance, and there are windows on at least one window on every wall.
Okay. I'll slip around the back of the place and see if wait right around the corner before I go around all the way and just kind of take a peek, and if it's clear, I'll see if I can get to the back door.
As you peer around the back side, you see a small backyard area. You see a stump, and where there's a hatchet buried in the stump, and there's split logs laying nearby, and a stock of firewood. And just beyond that, you see a small garden. But rather than vegetables growing up out of the garden, you see what looks to be a very crudely and freshly dug grave. A mound of earth piled up, and a very crude cross that appears to be made out of broken chair legs marking this grave. And you see a back door.
Okay, if I don't see anything moving, I'll sneak around to the back door and see if I can't get in that way.
During this time, Zilfire has been following behind him also, probably about 5 foot, because he's a little wary of him wearing his crystal, so I'll be with him.
So yeah, you would see all of the same things that he's seeing. You try the back door, and it opens.
Okay, I'll slip out a dagger just in case, because the bow's not going to be useful for much here. So I'll. All right, so I let's look inside.
So you're looking inside, and you're looking through from the kitchen area, and you can kind of see through, as it's a small place. You see past where the stove is and a preparation counter, and you can see also this overturned table and the broken furniture, and you see Theric standing there with having just crushed the skull of this dead figure as he raises his warhammer up, and it drips with the viscous black brain goo.
I quickly, when I hear the door creak open, as we clearly heard it, I look to see who it is. When I recognize, I say, where were you? This is the worst one yet.
What? Did he put up a fight? He did.
Oh, it was horrible. Right? I look at my companion.
Just raise an eyebrow.
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
I'll slip into the kitchen area and take a look around. Hey, where did Zilfar get off to?
I'm right behind you, half an hour. I've got your back.
Hi. What are you doing back there?
Oh, just
going to tell you
protecting
this.
Linka, go ahead and
There's a
roll.
grave back there.
Linka, go ahead and roll a perception check or investigation, however you want to do it, as you're looking around.
Alright. I'll do perception. At disadvantage, which means that is an 11. Blech.
You're not seeing anything really out of the ordinary other than the dead body and the overturned furniture. Nothing else seems to point to anything from what your halfling eyes see.
So it's just like a... Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So it's like there's a kitchen area, and then there's the big kind of main area of the house. Is there any other rooms in here, or is it just kind of the one homestead room type thing?
It seems to be more or less one large homestead area that you can see. Theric, are you doing anything else looking over this body?
Well, I mean, I was interested if it might have one of those pouches. So I guess whatever it takes to do that.
Go ahead and roll investigation, perception, whatever works for you.
Yeah, my interest in the body is intellectual and not financial, but I would like to look over the body as well.
You may also you could make a medicine check if you're looking at it from a anatomical sort of view, or an intelligence check if you're whatever it is you want to do.
Well, I'm looking to see if this corpse is covered in any of the black substance, as you did describe how the brain matter was full of black goo.
Yeah, go ahead and do your rolls. You trying to say something there, Theric?
I was just going to say I got a 21 on my investigation.
All right. And what do you get there, Leodran?
Straight intelligence is 16.
So you guys are both kind of coming to the same conclusion as you're looking this over. And you see that as you're looking the body over, you see that there is a large, jagged hole in his chest. He appears to have been dead for almost a week. Where his wound is, you can see that there are splinters of wood that actually seem to match up with the broken furniture laying around. And the hole in his chest looks to be about the size of one of the chair legs, but you don't see that missing chair leg anywhere around. You also notice, Leodran, that from the waist down seems to be dried tar, and it's on the bottoms of his feet. And you notice that there is dried blood and footprints in the dust that are leading away from the body and toward the center of the room where they stop.
Do they stop on any sort of carpeted surface?
There is a floor rug there, yes. A floor rug. A rug.
And pardon me, Thoric. Come here, take a look at this, will you? And then with my foot, I just step on the edge of the rug and start pulling it backwards.
Revealing bare floorboards.
You want me to swap it?
I just start stomping on the floorboard a bit, listening to see if I hear if there are any hollow spaces.
You hear the solidness of the floor, of a floor that's built just above the ground. Go ahead and roll another perception check.
What makes you think there's something going on here? Maybe I can help.
What are you doing over there?
Anybody else can roll perception if they want. Zilfire, are you inside?
Yeah, I'm standing just inside the back door, probably 2 or 3 foot behind Linka.
All right. So,
I got a
you,
23.
as you're stomping around on the floor and you're kind of listening to see if you can detect any kind of hollow spaces. As you're listening, you kind of cock your head to the side and cast your eyes upward, in that you're not so much looking as you are thinking. And that's when you see the hatch in the ceiling.
Duh. And still maintaining that position as if I intended to be in that position, I just raise my hand and point to the hatch. Aha!
Oh, it always have to be up so high. I have to do something. Somebody give me a boost.
I look at the two people who actually have some height.
Yeah, Zilfire looks at Lincoln and says, "Oh, strength is not one of my great attributes. I believe maybe you should find a chair. Maybe we can find you a chair or push this table here for you to get on."
Good gracious. All right, my 4'3" will go over and I'll say, I'll lift you up. Come on.
So is it like, so the attic that we're looking at, the little door, is it one of those things that you kind of pull down, like with a string or something like that, or?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's a little bit of knotted rope hanging down about a foot from the ceiling. The ceilings aren't too high in this place, so even the halfling or the dwarf, were they to jump a little bit, could probably jump up and grasp at it.
Oh, I'll just lift the halfling up a little bit. Much less embarrassing.
No, just wait a second. Maybe the other two ought to be ready, just in case some kind of, another Leroy comes flopping down here.
Most perceptive, my little friend. Most perceptive indeed.
All these guts and glory. Okay, let's do it. Go ahead and hoist me up.
All right.
So I'll reach up and grab it, and then swing down with I'll just kind of use my weight to pull it down, and then get out of the way, hopefully.
And as you pull it down, there's 3 quick thump, 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 as a telescoping ladder comes down from this hatch and plants itself firmly on the floor at your feet.
It's like a high quality ladder, like fancy, or is it?
It's not exactly fancy. It's
Okay, so it's something that would be appropriate to this sort of a house. It's not okay. I was just making sure it wasn't like several levels above what we would expect.
So I kind of look.
It looks old and worn and.
Okay.
So I look up there. It's like pitch black, I'd assume.
Absolutely, except for what you can perhaps with your dark vision you can see the ceiling rafters of the attic.
I reckon y'all want me heading up. I'm on it.
I'm almost kind of like hesitantly like wanting to stop him, but then I'm like thinking if I don't let him go, it's going to be me having to go up there. But, all right, just be careful.
Oh, always am careful. That always is so useful. I commence climbing.
All right. You climb up to the top of the attic, and you look inside.
As I'm climbing up, actually, I'm going to say, I know I'm stupid, but here's yet another last chance. All right.
As you bring your head up past the level of the attic floor, you begin casting your eyes about the attic, and you see a space slightly smaller than the area below it, with the angled roofs, kind of peaked in the center. You see a few old chests and tattered rags around here and there in one corner. In another corner, there appears to be some old furniture dusty and cobwebbed. And in another corner, you see a young lady who appears to be about 12 or 13 years old. She is crouched down. Her hair is matted and tangled and hangs across her face, covering one eye. And her other eye is wide open and feral looking. And she stares at you, brandishing a broken chair leg, seemingly procured from the mess downstairs. And she kind of wavers it in front of her as you approach. And she says, "I'll kill you! I'll kill you like I killed the others!"
No doubt, darling, no doubt. I'm going to stay over here, though. You stay over there. Nobody's got to get killed just yet. You hungry?
You're alive?
Yes, ma'am. I've been hollering at for 30 minutes now. But that's all right. It's all right. We're good. You want something to eat? Something to drink?
I've got food.
You got decent food or stuff that's been rotten for a week?
She just kind of looks at you and I got food.
All right. I ain't going to force nothing on you. Now, it's myself and 3 half things down there. We're here to find out what's going on. You want to talk or you want to fight?
There's 4 of you,
That's right.
and you're not one of them.
No, well, I sure ain't one of them and ain't one of them either, but I ain't meaning you no harm. Unless you try to harm one of us.
And she takes her broken chair leg and she kind of holds it out in front of her for a moment, and then you just see this tremendous weight kind of lift off her shoulders as she sets it. It kind of falls to the floor in front of her, and she kind of, already crouching, she kind of drops down onto her butt on the floorboards and just starts sobbing.
All right, so with traveling with these 3, do any of them actually have any kind of social skills? Any of you folks have any social skills?
Of course, my noble friend, coming from a noble family.
Link is like, what did you find up there? What is it?
Are you talking to ghosts? What are you whispering to up there?
Oh, it ain't no ghost, just a little sprig of a girl. Whichever one of y'all it is that does the talking, come on up here with me. Be nice and slow. Don't need your weapons out.
I look over at the other 2, and do they? What do you guys say? Do you guys look like you're eager to say something, or?
Zilfire looks at Theric and tells, "I don't know if I can fit up there, dwarf friend. Can she come to the opening? Bring her down here."
Leave her right where she is. She ain't none too ready to trust us just yet. But there's plenty of room up here. It's almost as big up here as it is down there.
Leo's will just start making his way up.
All right, now, my name is Tharic. What's yours? It don't gotta be your real name, just something to call you. I ain't trying to get no secrets.
My name is Lily.
I'm sorry, what was it?
It's Lily.
Lily, that's a pretty name. Right pretty. Right pretty. Now,
You're the first living people I've seen in over a week.
Well, let's keep it all that way, where we all live and we'll all be happier, I think, because them what ain't living not too pleasant to hang around with now, are they?
I saw what you done to Leroy.
Well, you saw what he was trying to do to us, didn't you? Did you see me knock at the front door just wanting to talk to somebody? Remember that part?
I saw what you done, and I'm thankful for it. I was afraid Leroy was going to get me for too long.
Well, you don't got to worry none about Leroy now, nor none of the chickens, nor that other fellow that we ran into. Now, can you tell us what happened? How did this all start?
So is everybody up here now?
Yeah, I'm up there with my ledger out, just taking notes, marking down all of her statements.
I'll come on up and I'll kind of like sit Indian style like over near her, like or like kind of like catty cornered away from her, and so I'll take out that copper coin that I like to kind of toss around a little bit over my knuckles and just kind of start working that back and forth, kind of like it's just kind of like a natural tick that I have when I'm a little nervous.
Okay.
Zilfire has stayed at the bottom, and while his friends up there can't see him, he's kind of brushing some of this mud and muck off of him, trying to clean himself up. But he did send up a fresh water skin with the halfling to give to her.
All right, and you're able to very easily hear any conversation that's taking place. So, Theric, you asked her,
How'd this all start? It might help us fix it.
well, it were about a week ago. My friend Molly and I, we was out in the edge of the forest collecting morel mushrooms, and Pa told me I was supposed to be back before dark, but we were so caught up in hunting them mushrooms that I stayed too long. And so finally, Molly and I, we come running back into town, and we went to our houses, and I got here, and there wasn't nobody here. And Molly showed up, and she said there weren't nobody at her house neither. And we walked all over town, and we couldn't find nobody, not a single living soul. So Molly stayed with me, and we slept here at the house. Next day, we decided to go looking around again, and the front door opened. My pa come walking in, and I started to go to him and ask him, "Where you been, Pa?" But something wasn't right about him. His eyes was glowing purple, and he was dripping with tar from the tar pits. And he started grabbing at me and reaching for me. And I fell backwards. I fell backwards over the chair, and it broke. And I grabbed at that leg of the chair as my pa come at me, and he tripped over the chair and he fell on me. And I guess I just held that chair leg up, and suddenly I realized my pa was above me. His eyes weren't glowing purple no more, but the chair leg was inside his chest. I think I killed my pa. And she starts sobbing again.
Now there. No need to be crying there. I don't think that was your paw down there. I think something else had a hold of him. That's all.
I don't know what's happened, but I ain't seen nobody from town. Folks was supposed to be coming back that night from working in the mines. My brother Jarrett, he works down in the mines, and I ain't seen nothing of him, dead or alive. With the exception of Leroy and old Mrs. Tamlin. And
Mrs. Tamlin, who's that? Is she around here?
She worked at the bakery, but I had to hit her so many times with the chair leg. Molly and I was over at Pilson's and we was raiding the supplies, getting as much food as we could from their storeroom.
Very smart of you.
That's what I got here is the last of that food. And that's when Mrs. Tamlin, she come out of the bakery and her eyes was glowing purple too. And she looked like she wanted to tear us apart. But ever since my paw, I ain't never set this chair leg down.
I reckon you ought to hang on to that chair leg. Sound like you know how to use it. You're doing the right thing. Don't you worry none about that.
I had to do what I could to protect me and Molly.
Now that's a question I ain't been wanting to ask, but
Yeah, I'm kind of looking around too. Like, is there anybody else here?
where would Miss Molly be? I wonder if
Anna looks around,
no.
and on one corner of the attic here, there's a window that looks down over the garden out back, and with tears streaming down her face, she just points out the window at the garden, at the freshly dug grave, and says, I buried her there just this morning. I'm sorry, Molly. I was too scared. I couldn't do it, Molly.
Linka
I
kind
was
of
supposed to go with you.
Linka kind of hesitantly like reaches out and pats her on the shoulder because he's thinking about his clan and like how the family and the camaraderie that's there, and he's like he knows somebody needs some kind of contact, so he there lass. You done what you had to do, and you're alive. That's the important thing, and we're here. We're gonna help you.
And she kind of stands up, and she's staring out the window now, looking down at where she indicated the grave of her friend Molly. And as you say that, she just kind of, you can feel, as you pat her shoulder, you can feel her shaking with sobs. And she says, you don't understand. I'm not supposed to be alive. Molly and I made a pact. After the food started running low, and after Miss Tamlin, and Leroy, and Paul, we don't see no way out of this. And neither one of us wants to become one of them things, whatever they are, because they ain't Mrs. Tamlin anymore. That weren't Leroy, what you done killed. And it was Molly's idea. She had a bottle of some kind of white milky liquid. I think she called it strychnine or something. She said she got it from the tavern, and they use it for rat poison or something. And she said if we drank it, we would just go to sleep and not wake up. And so we agreed that that's what we would do. And I was scared. I was so scared. And Molly said, don't be scared. I'll go first. And she drank some of that stuff. And she said, hold me, Lily. Hold me, Lily, while I go to sleep. And then you go to sleep, too. And I held on to Molly, but she didn't go to sleep. She started shaking so viciously. And her eyes rolled back up in her head. And she started foaming at the mouth and shaking. And I held on to her tight. And I held on to her so tight until she didn't shake no more. And I was too scared. I couldn't do it. And so I buried her. I buried her this morning.
Linka's like looking out the window, like you could probably like she's like kind of standing there like right in front of the window right there, and And Link has kind of got his hands on her shoulders. I don't know if he's like roughly the same height as her, or she's probably still taller than he is. So he's kind of just like giving her some comfort, and so you kind of see his eyes, like as she's talking about burying Molly. His eyes kind of like widen a little bit. He's like looking down at the grave site and everything. Does it still look like it's covered over, like it's
Intact.
still buried? Yeah, intact.
Yes. From what you can see, the dirt appears to still be as you saw it. In fact, you even have a better look at it from above, and it looks to be a fully intact gravesite. And suddenly, Lily kind of takes a deep breath. Every one of them people I seen coming at us, Leroy, Mrs. Tamblin, Paul, every one of them, they's got tar on them. Every one of them has had glowing purple eyes. Now, I don't know what none of that means, but just on the other side of town, as you're heading toward the gold mines, is the tar pits. And there's something dark and evil is happening over there.
Yeah. Do you think there's anybody left that's over there? Have you seen somebody that's going out there that's not come back?
I kind of wondered if that's where they all went, since they's all coming back with tar on them, but I ain't going that way. We wasn't never going to go that way, but...
I don't blame you none.
But...
Go ahead.
If you're there, you may see my brother Jarek. He's tall. He's taller than all of you. In fact, he's probably as tall as if you stacked a couple of you on top of one another. And he's bald. He's the only one in town here with no hair. So, you might find him there. Tell him that I love him. And then she kind of looks out the window again, and she says, I ain't scared no more, Molly. I'm not scared anymore.
Aye, there, boss, now.
These nice folks are going to take care of things. And you hear a clinking sound of glass dropping to the floor as she opens her hand and something falls from her hands to the floor.
Whoa, what's going on?
And you see an empty glass vial, and as it hits the floor, it breaks, and in the broken pieces of the glass vial, you see a few remnants of a milky white fluid.
What?
And suddenly,
what you do, lass?
Lily suddenly arches her back, and her hands contort into claws. And her eyes roll back in her head as she collapses to the ground and begins convulsing with seizures and foaming at the mouth.
Hey, what did you do? What did you do? I'm like trying to like get a hold of her and try and keep her still or something. Somebody get up here! Somebody do something!
It only takes a moment for Lily to die.
Hearing the commotion, I would have hauled up to Linka. Linka, what is the problem? Are you okay? Are the crystals having an effect on you again?
No, I'm like looking down at her. I'm like kind of like down, like on my knees next to her and stuff. No, she took some poison. The little girl killed herself.
Stupid girl.
I shut your mouth, dwarf. You don't talk about somebody like that's been living in fear like this.
Yeah, she was, and then she gave up. She was strong until we got here to save her, and then she took the coward's way out. Now you get the hell out of here. I got business to do up here. I'll be down in a second.
What do you mean you got business to do? We got to bury her proper now. You don't want her coming back in her spirit
She
getting
won't be
unrested.
coming back.
So like Link is kind of like he's getting up, and he's struggling with it definitely, and he's got some tears coming down his face, and he's holding on to that coin like really super tight. And like for a second, you can kind of look down, and you'll see in the coin there's a name that's etched into it. The name is Fedrin, and like there's like an inkling of a memory, and it's you can see him like among family members, that kind of thing. And he's looking at a particular person right now, but he like clenches down on the coin, and he like steps away from the girl.
You see, you look over to Stark, and through your tears, you can see his eyes are watered. They're not quite teared, but he's on the brink. He said, I'm going to do what I got to do, and we're going to get to this tar pit. We're going to deal with this before it worthlessly takes another life. Unless you want to see this go on down, I'll be there in a minute.
Lincoln like kind of he rests a small hand on your shoulder and says, well,
go.
Okay. And so he goes and he kind of clambers down the ladder.
About the time I'm sure he's down, I'll go over and I'll give her the same treatment that I've given all the rest of them. You guys will see the ceiling will shake just a little bit as the hammer crashes into the floorboard, the ceiling beam, and I'll wait just a couple seconds and take a few deep breaths, and then I'll head down.
As the two of you start going down, passing Leodrin, of course, this whole time he was scrolling away with his piece of charcoal in his ledger. And if you were to look down in the ledger, instead of taking notes as he usually was, you would see a small sketch of Lily's face. And him just staring at it, frozen in place.
Well, if I go by him, I'll kind of take him by the arm and say, got stuff to do.
During the time of when the dwarf was taking his actions and Linka came down, I would have looked at the halfling and said, what is this talk of tar? We're having to go to a tar pit? More dirt and muck?
Well, the girl up there, she said that there's all these people here. We seen them. We got tar out of them, right? They're coming out of their eyes and stuff. And she's saying that there's a tar pit down there. That's where some of these folks have been going. Maybe they working down there or something, and then they're coming back, and they have this tar on them. She said that a lot of the town folk go down there and they work, and then she mentioned she got a brother that's down there somewhere. I don't know.
Zilfire would just kind of shake his head and ponder for a moment and say, well, as Thoric would say, onward, let's do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Before leaving, I would take my lantern out of my pack and start pouring the oil on the wood of this attic area and set it aflame before exiting the house.
In slow motion. All right, gentlemen. My bladder has told me that this is a great time to take a break. I'm going to give you all a breather to kind of recover from that rather emotional scene. I would like each of you to take a point of inspiration for that scene. That was wonderfully done.
Cool, thanks.
Before we continue on, that's going to be a good spot to break. So we'll take about 5 minutes. Use the restroom, refresh your drinks, do what you got to do, blow your nose. I'm teared up, but mostly because I was acting as that character.
That was some good stuff. All around. Everybody was really good.
I'll drill down on that scene a little bit more after the show when I sit down with Absolute Tabletop and talk to them about the module. So I don't want to spend too much time going on that. If you are watching us live, or if you're watching us recorded, whatever, we're going to take a few minutes break. If you're watching, thank you so much for watching. Once again, I am running Absolute Tabletop's Horror at Misty Meadows, and these fine folks have joined me tonight and are going through this. This is straight out of the module with some twists and turns that I've added in, that there's only a handful of people out there that even knows what's going on. As I said, if you're watching, stick around to the end. Tune in on the Mini Terrain Domain videos page, where you'll be able to see, in fact, the event is already there, that I will be sitting down with Absolute Tabletop immediately following this game, and we'll talk about Horror at Misty Meadows and how they wrote it and how I ran it and some other stuff. So we'll be right back after no messages, because there's no ad playing. But stick around. Thanks for watching. Be right back. All right, and then the first one back. Let's see. Let's take a look over here at the comments.
I'm just being a
Oh,
ninja.
you're just hiding. Over here in the comments. Yeah, regarding the bound copy, I printed this, and I bound that myself. It's just, I got one of these little, I think I stole it from my wife. We used to do scrapbooking. It's this little deal here that's got the thing. You put the pages in, you kind of like a hole punch, it guides it, and then there's a name for this stuff. Tosicle? That doesn't sound right. But this little unit and the punch thing does the hard work, and then you put these little binder things on there. I just found it easier, and I like having the physical edition of it so I can make notes if I wish to, but this one printed out so well I haven't actually written on it. I wrote one post-it note, and I wrote my prep notes on a separate sheet of paper. I don't do a lot. While we're waiting for the others here, I don't do a whole lot to prep when running in a module like this, other than read through it. I've probably read the module about 6 times. The first couple times I read through it just to make sure I understand the flow of things. And then as I read through it the remaining times, I'm just making sure I understand key plot points. And I'm also putting my own twists in it. I know from the comments that some of the folks that worked on the module that actually wrote it have been surprised by some of the things that I've introduced, and that's great. The other thing that I do, and usually my notes consist of, at one time actually, like for the narrator, I had a note that said John Hurt. I was going to kind of do a typical fantasy kind of more of an English accent, but as I read over it more and with the mining thing, I kind of fell into the faux southern faux twang, which is supposed to kind of emulate like a Virginia mining town, but what do I know? I'm from Michigan. So it's my approximation. And especially with Ken and Tony in here who have genuine southern accents.
I don't know. Like, if I knew it was going to be Southern, I would have had a different accent like this, maybe just a bit. I would have just jumped on that bandwagon, but no.
I think somebody said something about it in the comments. You don't generally hear Southern accents in fantasy games, unless you're playing with Ken.
I have been working on my loquacious. I'll not ready to break it out yet, but.
Yeah, there's no change in this voice I got. Can't do it.
Whether people use their own voice or they put on accents, it's always fun to see how people bring their characters to life. And some people narrate in the third person what they're doing. Some people are fully in character. Some people are totally immersed power gamers. I think that's actually in your overlay, right?
Yeah.
I kind of ride the line there. This is actually the first time I've kind of developed a narrator character, and truth be told, that's kind of influenced by Barker from his Winds of Sorceline games, where he has done some narration in character, whether a character from the game itself, maybe somebody that they run into, or he just kind of affects a unique character for the narration, and it's something that I kind of decided to try with this one. So yeah, I mean, other than a handful of notes, I had some notes on a piece of paper here. I'm not going to show you. Beyond that, I have all your character names, classes, and information. I track initiative on this single sheet of paper, and yeah. Try to keep it as concise as possible. That's just me. I'm a very improvisational GM. That's the way I like to run it. All right. I do believe everybody's here.
Yep. Sorry about the delay there, guys.
No, that's fine.
All right.
All right. Without further ado, you guys have Theric dispatched, or rather applied some insurance to making sure that young Lily does not return. Do you do anything? Oh yeah, actually, and then Leodron set fire to the building as you guys exited. So you are standing out in the streets, and the homestead of Lily is burning behind you.
Get burning good.
And if you're interested in going to these tar pits, you can follow your nose.
One second. How long did it take? Did it go up really, really quickly, or did we have a couple minutes before the house got on fire real good?
It's really up to how quick Leodron set fire to the oil. because he poured oil all over the place. Once he lights it.
If I see him doing all, I say, "Can you hang on just 1 minute?"
I would have started doing that after everybody left me behind.
Right. But once I see that you're getting ready to burn it down, can you give me 1 second?
Go ahead and do whatever it is you're going to do.
All right. Whoever's nearest me, I say, "Come help me a minute," and I go out back to where the grave is, and I want to pull Molly inside so that she can go up with her friend.
So like Link is kind of watching you like start to do that, and he'll probably ask you, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you asking for trouble?"
These two sound like real good friends in life. I think they'd want to be together if we're going to do this. Let them go together.
Okay, I think I can agree with that. I never thought I'd see myself agreeing with a dwarf 2 times in one night. But okay.
We all make mistakes.
My hand kind of brushes the pouch next to my hip where the purple stones are, and I just kind of like, I guess that remains to be seen. Sure. And so he'll help him unearth the body, I guess.
Linka, roll a d6.
Oh, hails bells. A 5.
So as you're standing there and you do this and you start to go and help Theric as he is preparing to dig up the body of Molly and bring it into the house, you look up and you see out of the darkness, looming towards you, a horrific purple skull, elongated and reptilian in nature, dripping with tar.
Hi.
None. Nope. Yeah. So you just see this thing just. In fact, it looks just like this purple skull right down here in the corner.
Hi. Would you get out of the way?
I'm focused on the grave. Quit your lollygagging and help.
There's a purple dragon coming down.
What?
So I'm trying to like scramble and find a way to get out of the way of this thing. How big is it?
It's quite large, probably about 2 feet long, about a foot tall. And its jaws just silently are just going, and you can hear it as it.
Oh boy, yeah, I'm trying to like scramble out of the way if I can.
Yeah, and this thing just fills you with terror. You don't want to be anywhere near this thing. But from what you can see, none of your companions appear to be reacting to it.
So I'm like scrambling around like this backyard here, trying to find some place to hide, and I'm like looking at the house. Is the house is it flat on the ground, or is it like up on, like slightly raised because of the muddy area, that sort of thing?
No, it's flat to the ground.
Oh crap! And it's already on fire anyway, huh? That probably wouldn't be wise.
Well, it's not on fire yet because.
Okay.
I'm in the process.
He's kind of pouring the oil while Theric is digging up the body of Molly.
All right, so I go tearing into the house then. Like, hey, everybody get down there. Some kind of flying skull coming after me. I'm like running through the house right now, trying to get away.
I just picture this halfling going, ah!
That's pretty much what's happening. Like, I'm like trying to like figure out what on me could possibly help with this situation, and I'm like just lost for like ideas right now.
After he says it about the 3rd time, I'll look up and see if there's any dragon head.
You see nothing.
If you don't want to help, fine. Just stay out of the way.
So I'm like tearing through the house and I'm heading for the front door. Is it still following me?
Yeah, as you turn around and look in the house, you see it about 15 feet away from you. Leodron and Zilfire. Well, Leodron, you're pouring your lamp oil out upstairs from the house. Zilfire, what are you doing?
I would probably be thinking to myself, seeing the halfling run and scream that the crystals are getting to his mind, and that I better keep a more close eye on him in case he changes into something that we have to take care of.
So Linka, are you tearing out the front door?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm trying to like balance the idea of what the kind of terror that he's feeling right now, but also like so the thing that's coming at me is it's the same kind of purple color as the stones, right? Is that? So I'm like grabbing the door and I fling it open, and then at the same time I grab the pouch, pull it out, and I was like, "Fine, take it back. I don't want the stupid things." And I like fling it at the head, and then I dash out the front door.
All right. A couple things happen here. Is I need you to roll a d6 again.
Oh, fuck. That's a 4.
All right. So here's what happens. You grab this pouch off of your belt and you hurl it at this skull, and you go crashing out the door, and you kind of stumble over your feet as you head out the front door, and you collapse to your hands and knees, and you turn around, and you're scrambling back away from this skull as it's coming at you, and you're crying out against it, and it just comes bearing down on you. And as it comes down, you just kind of throw your arms up as it opens its jaws wide and goes, and you feel nothing as it dissipates in a cloud of purple haze. And you suddenly feel bile burning in your throat, and your stomach begins to knot itself, and you can't help but vomit again.
Oh, fuck. Off he goes. So I like kind of roll over on my hands and knees and just start like disgorging.
And you are actually, you're sickened.
On top of the exhaustion.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Which is, that's an actual effect. Well, it's not really going to affect you any more than the exhaustion, really, at this point, because it's not going to pile any more disadvantage on top of disadvantage. But you're definitely disadvantaged. Okay. And but yeah, your stomach is in knots, and you feel that burning bile in your throat. But you're no longer as frightened as you were. The visceral fear has dissipated along with the skull.
And I'm like still kind of like brushing my hair out of my face, and then looking up at the house where the door is kind of standing open, and I see my pouch on the ground there with the probably has like the crystals kind of spilling out of it or something. Like one or two of them might have gotten out the top, and I look at it and I just okay. Some things just aren't worth it.
I would like you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, that's the one that's on disadvantage too, with the exhaustion.
That's going to be at disadvantage.
That's an ability check. There we go. Okay. All right, here we go. And you said wisdom, so that's a big goose egg on that one. Ooh, take your pick, a 6 or a 2. I guess I get the 2.
You see these crystals laying on the ground, spilling out of this pouch. You have every intention of leaving them behind. But you just can't bring yourself to walk away from them.
I'm thinking it's like a fortune right there.
You suddenly feel that you're giving up a lot of money worth in these crystals, but there's just something about them that the closest thing you can compare it to is this copper coin that you keep, that has this immense value to you. You equate it almost to that you have to have these crystals in this pouch on your person.
So I'm like kind of like reasoning it to myself. I'm like, okay, Link, you gotta get it together. You gotta get it together. I'm like kind of pushing myself up to a standing position, and I kind of like gut myself into moving back into the house. As I'm going, I'm like thinking about my folks back home who, I probably hadn't shared it with the rest of the group, but I mean, in back of his mind, he's thinking about them who are in a form of indentured servitude right now, and the whole reason that I slipped away and broke away is to try and earn enough money to buy them out of the contract, or the supposed contract that they're in with this Thieves Guild. So that's where he's learned all his skills and everything, and he basically took them on the road to try and earn money to bring them out of indentured servitude or slavery. So he focuses on them, he focuses on all their faces and everything, and he just pushes himself to go back inside and scoop up the crystals again. And then, assuming nothing happens, he'll reaffix them to his belt. And he starts just rattling off the names of his clan in his head. All right, that's done with. Let's burn this bugger down. Get moving.
And in the meantime, while this is happening out front, Theric, you were able to, with a few shovelfuls, dig up the body of another 12 or 13-year-old red-haired little girl already in the early stages of decomposition. And you're able to very easily pick her up out of the grave and carry her into the house.
I'll put her somewhere that looks comfortable, at least. You know what? As a matter of fact, if I can, I'll take her upstairs.
Yep, absolutely.
Put her with Lily, and I'll just quietly go out, and I'll leave through the front door and just kind of give a sign that I've done what I got to do.
During the episode with Linka, I would probably observe some of that, standing and watching when he'd run through. And when I see him pick the crystals back up and tie them to his belt, I'm going to think to myself, his sanity. He's going to give up his sanity for just a few coppers. I've got to watch him. I hope he doesn't turn on us. And I just think that to myself.
Yeah, with that, Leodrin, he grabs the leg of the chair and then sets fire to the oil, bringing the chair leg with him as he leaves the house. And he does so in silence the entire time.
And so you are standing out in the road in front of the house as it burns. It goes quickly, the old wood of this house catching fire combined with the oil of your lamp. And before long it's too hot to even stand there, and you have to move further down the road to get away from it.
Oh, as soon as it's obviously lit, I say, let's go. You don't need to watch this. Nothing to see here. Let's go find this tar pit. And I start walking.
Lead on, Hammerman.
And Linko follows pretty close behind.
So you can smell the acrid stench of this tar. You've seen it, come across it enough in your investigations of these zombies in this town, and kind of smelling it on the air, and with what Lily told you about the tar pits nearby, you're certain that that's what you're smelling as you're heading off in that direction. And the thick fog is still all around you. As you get away, you don't even have to get that far away before the fire is no longer visible as a fire, but rather as a just a glowing orange in the fog. And as you continue down the road, after a while, you leave even that behind, and so that the only light that you really see now is the light of the moon illuminating the fog. And as you continue down the road, the fire, or rather, sorry, the smell of the tar is getting stronger and more acrid. And before long, you find yourself on the edge, and you can hear it bubbling, and you can smell the thick stench of this tar as you come across this massive tar pool. And you notice also that there are several places where, as the pathway is taking you here, there are several places where the tar pits are covered with wooden bridges. And there is a cart where your path is kind of led into the midst of all these tar pools. There is a wooden cart that is overturned. And what you see is in front of you is this. Can you all see that?
It was there from.
Yep, got it.
So you are kind of in the area in the middle there where this overturned cart is, and you can see all of these wooden paths that cover different areas of the tar all seem to lead to a continuation of the path on the other side. And you can see where, where this overturned cart is right next to you. Whatever contents were in the cart have spilled over.
What's the scale of the map? How far is it from where we are to what we assume would be the other side that we want to get to, up at the top, I assume?
Straight line distance, probably about 75 feet.
Okay.
Looking on the floor, the dirt that we're walking on, and also by this overturned cart, do I see what would look like black footprints anywhere?
So as you're looking around this cart, you do see a couple areas where some tarry footprints have headed back towards town, and you didn't realize until now that you perhaps were even walking across some of them. Maybe they had been washed away. But you also see around this overturned cart that there are bloodstains, mining supplies, broken lanterns, helmets, pickaxes. But you also see that in a couple places on this cart, what appears to be huge chunks have been torn out of this cart, almost as if something ripped it apart. And you can see in various areas of the tar, protruding out of the tar, strange bones, bits of rib, femur bones, but much larger than any humanoid.
What do you suppose is this stuff here? Hey, Leroy, you think you know something? Maybe something in one of them books of yours?
Starts rubbing whiskers.
Would knowledge, nature, arcana, anything be appropriate here?
Sure.
Give arcana a shot if that's appropriate. Never mind. I don't know what it is, but let's not hold the gag too long. The longer we wait, the more likely it'll jump up and bite us in the arse.
Is there anything that looks like it has any arcane sigils on it?
Nothing that you can see, nothing obvious.
He just starts nodding. Yes, let's keep on moving.
Well, so Linka kind of is like looking at the other three of them, and he's considering. Does anybody like look like they're having like an inkling of what this might be? Like, is Zilfar show any kind of intuition into this?
Yeah, at that moment, Zilfire would kind of get his wits back, kind of shake his head and get his wits, and he would concentrate and put his thoughts into detecting magic again if he detects any kind of magic in this area.
Virtually the entire range of your spell in a 30-foot radius all around you, or actually a 30-foot diameter, I think. At any rate, as far as your spell reaches, the tar itself seems to glow with the same dark energies you sensed on the crystals, the same necromantic forces, and it's now glowing with the blue essence of the magic.
And at that point, feeling that come into my mind, I would kind of look at Linka, but then I would look at Leodrin and say, my half-elf brother, there's some kind of necromantic energy here, and I believe it's coming from the tar. We need to find safe passage across this and get across it fast, because we've seen how the crystals have affected Linka.
Is that something that like he's saying that directly to Leodrin?
Oh yeah, you would have definitely heard him, but he would have turned and faced Leodrin to say it, and kind of not ignored you, but he's kind of worried about how you're going to react.
Okay, no worries. I'll leave it there. So Link is kind of focusing more on the path that's kind of leads to the left away from this particular little island that we're on. He kind of looks at Leodrin and sees if he has any response or anything.
Noticing the footprints, the tar footprints, either to the left or the right, do they look like they're coming from one direction, or are there more in any one particular direction?
Not really. They seem to come more or less from kind of both the left and the right, directly in front of this little kind of peninsula thing where there's a bit of broken footbridge in front of you.
Well, there's 2 footbridges in front of us, right? One to the left and right?
Yes, and there's a broken one directly in front of you.
Yeah, there remains the one up there.
I will... Whoops, I lost it. I will bring that back up so y'all can see that. There we go. So yeah, you're kind of in the middle there. You got kind of to the northeast and to the west is basically the routes you can take to go across this.
All right.
Right, looks like it'll be shorter.
Okay. Let me go first. I'm the lightest of you. Let me see if I can't get across the bridge, make sure it ain't going to break down in front of us.
Hang on one second.
Excellent idea, Link. I believe we should space ourselves.
What's the distance across the short area there where the broken bridge used to be?
Where the broken bridge used to be is probably about 20, 25 feet. 20.
All right. Carry on.
All right, so Linka kind of gives him a wary eye, but then says, "All right, right, let's go see what we can see." And so he'll kind of do his little light foot thing and cross to the right bridge, I guess, the one on the right-hand side.
All right. The bridge feels very rickety below your feet. The tar pits are actually eating away at the boards in places, as the tar appears to be quite active, bubbling, boiling. With each step, you hear the wood creaking below your feet. You even hear cracks in the wood as you step.
Okay. I stop for a second. I hold my hand up to make sure nobody's following me. I mean, does the rest of this wood look like it's about the same condition or worse in front of me?
It all looks about the same, equally bad condition.
And I'll kind of work my way back to the group, and then see if maybe the other side is in better condition.
Well, hang on. How far out were you?
I don't know. How far did I get?
About halfway before you decided to turn back.
Oh, I'm already halfway.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Halfway across the first bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
Does he feel? Do you feel steady if you stay right there for a second?
I think so. I might as well go ahead and go all the way across. But you all better check the other bridge. It might be a bit sturdier for you. So
Right.
I don't know. So I look back at Therakin to see what he has in mind.
Well, I was just gonna say we could check the other one, but if it's no better, then you don't need to come back and then go. And the less moving you do, the better.
You get the sense, Linka, that you made the right decision coming across by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel as though it's breaking under your feet. It just feels brittle, like it couldn't take too many people going across at the same time.
Does it feel like it might hold the others, or should I mean, let's just see what the other side holds for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you know, is it just felt brittle.
Okay.
But you can't really make an assessment how it would. You don't know for sure.
Okay.
While everyone is trying to figure out what they want to do, Leogen takes off his backpack and he starts pulling out his rope. He ties the rope around his waist and then hands the other side of the rope, and almost without stopping to question or ask if it's all right, he starts tying the other half around Zilfair.
And Zilfire would take it without question.
All right, kind of creases his brow, but shrugs. Elves.
And with that, leaving his backpack to leave any excess weight behind, Leodrin starts making his way across this rickety bridge first.
Same thing. You can feel it creaking under your weight, but you're able to make it across without anything breaking.
All right, seeing them kind of make it across, I'll go ahead and continue along this bridge here and finish my path to the other side.
And y'all are kind of continuing one at a time across the bridges?
Correct.
Well, I'm certainly watching everyone else travel one at a time across the bridges.
So you're still on the first part?
But right now I am, yes, until everybody else is where they're going.
So
Who else left their pouches or packs or any sort of stuff?
I honestly didn't think of it before I took off, so I pretty much have my stuff with me, but I don't have a lot on me right now.
All right. So it's just so now it's just me and one pack. I'm relative to everyone else. What would I say my
Well, I would call out to you and say, I don't think you're going to make it in that all, my friend.
well, that's where you're wrong, my friend. And I pick up the pack and I go and I step towards the tar pit, and then 30 feet across on the other side, I appear. Made it!
So your range of what you just did is 30 feet?
Yep.
Okay. So you end up on that middle.
Earlier.
Yeah, you end up on that middle island right about the same time Linka gets there from crossing over. And the other two are on that first island on the right. Go ahead, everybody, and roll a... oh my gosh. Perception. Good Lord. I lost the word. Roll a perception check.
I see it. I just rolled a nat 20, so
One
in
for me,
total
thank
I get a 25.
Did you say 1, Ken?
I said none. It's a 2.
Oh. All right, so once again, Theric, he seems to be pretty impressed with his little trick and kind of turns to the rest of you as if to say, ta-da! So he doesn't see the large bubble that is rising up behind him from the tar. But the rest of you do, as this bubble of tar begins to rise up, and as it's about 15 feet in the air, the tar splits, and you see an enormous reptilian skull emerging, only half of its jaw attached. Covering in smoldering tar, you see a skeletal form of a 25-foot tall, zombified Tyrannosaurus Rex lift its head out of the tar and its broken jaw kind of hanging from it, and it roars a raspy, hollow and lunges at you. Go ahead and roll for initiative. That T-Rex roar just... that was too much for me.
If only I got that 20 on the initiative.
I'm going to stick with my theme, 2. It's all about consistency, I hear.
All right. All right, so we got that one, and that. And let's see what our tar zombie T-Rex does. Believe it or not, I'll still beat both of you guys. Linka.
What? No.
You're first. Yes.
Are you serious?
With your 8, you have the highest initiative in this round.
All right, so I'm over on the right-hand side, and there's isn't there kind of like brush and stuff that's back there? Is that?
You're actually in the middle.
I'm in the middle.
So let me just bring this up so y'all can
It's all right.
get your bearings again. you, since I showed it to you, I don't want to make you rely too much without it. So you're kind of in that middle section there. Or rather, you and Theric are in the middle section, and Zilfer and Leodrin are on that right-hand section.
Oh, over on the right. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And the T-Rex kind of came up out of this middle section, kind of just a little bit to the left of this first big section. I guess I should do that over there.
There you go.
So kind of in there.
And then we're in the section above that
Yep.
one chunk of ground.
Yep.
Okay.
So you guys are right in here.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh, what did you go and wake that thing up for? So I pull out my bow and I try and take a shot at this thing, and I'm eyeing the bridge to the left. So I guess it'd be to my right because I'm facing downwards, or I'm eyeing that direction over there to see if maybe there's a way to escape. But I'll take my shot first just to see what's what.
All right.
And I will. Let's see here. I still have that inspiration, but I'm gonna hold on to it just for a second, just in case. Just in case. You never know. All right, here we go. Yeah, that's probably not gonna hit. 7 + 7 is a 14 with a short bow.
Your short bow appears to be just a little bit too short as your arrow flies wide, missing.
All right. I will take I'll go ahead and move to that section that's kind of like between the two bridges, like on the left-hand side, where it looks like the bridge. Yeah, you got it right over there. And then, is there anywhere to hide, or is that totally inconceivable right now?
It's all bare ground.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, then I'll use my what you call it, the cunning action to dash across the north bridge up there to try and get a little bit more distance between me and the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Wait, are you the halfling? Is that right?
Yep.
You could hide behind me.
Well, I think a single bite might get us both.
Mentality, just.
It's a good thought.
Yeah, you can make it over there to the bridge.
Okay.
And just getting started across the bridge.
Okay. All right. We'll do that.
You're running off, little feller. Once I see it, I'll hold it off for you.
Leodron.
It's right behind you.
Wait, did you say me? My go?
Leodron, you are up next.
All right. Wow. Seeing this this massive creature, Leodron just whips his hand from within his coat, and again the crossbow in hand, arrows at the ready. The highest he rolls for his attacks as he looses these arrows after taking deep breaths inward is a 12.
Your arrows bounce harmlessly off the thick hide of this T-Rex. And it is now the T-Rex's turn. And immediately in front of it, as it steps up out of the tar onto the island, the very island that Theric is on, with a mighty roar, it bends down and attempts to bite into Theric.
In this?
And as it chomps down at you, that is a 26.
I didn't even know it was there. It's all good. I just stand there trying to figure out what the hell the halfling is doing.
And as this thing bites down into you, that is going to be, we'll grab the right dice here. That is going to be, good Lord, there we go. Oh Lord. You are going to take 21 points of piercing damage.
All right.
And you are grappled.
Okay, I'll let it know that I'm now aware of its existence.
It also thrashes around with its tail, swinging it where you were moments before, Linka, but you've managed to dash just outside the range, but you can feel the putrid stench of rotting flesh and the tar stench as the tail whooshes past. And it is now Theric's turn.
How much was the damage again?
21 points of piercing damage.
That stings. It's my turn, and I'm grappled in its mouth, I presume.
Yep, you'll have to use an action to attempt to escape.
I think not. I choose not to do so.
Okay.
I instead will Misty Step again. From its mouth as far in the direction we're going as possible. It's only a verbal component.
Excellent. Good deal. So you are suddenly no longer in its mouth, and you are behind it, and you find yourself just beyond it, about 5 feet away from that bridge to the north. Where Linka is actually attempting to cross. So Linka is already kind of getting started on it up here, and you're kind of just down there at the foot of it. And that leaves Zilfire.
Anyone hear me?
Nope, you cut out for a minute there.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
I'll be right back.
Oh.
Okay, Zilfer, just to let everybody know, I wrote a natural 1, so doing that, he helped Leodrin secure the rope and bringing the rope in, and he's standing there, and he'd seen the dwarf just disappear into some deal and show up 30 foot away from there, and then when he sees this horrid creature just appear out of nowhere, the first thing that comes to his mind is to think, okay, I've got to put up something to draw its attention to somewhere else. And I'm going to cast Minor Illusion and use it as 30 foot behind it of just the roaring, terrible voice of another T-Rex to try to draw its attention to that.
So, yeah, I'm going to do it this way. And let's see, that would be. What's your spell save DC?
15, I believe. Let me look, make sure. Yep, 15.
At hearing this roar behind it, it turns its entire body around in the direction of where it heard and sees this illusory T-Rex behind it, and it gives an answering roar. You have distracted the T-Rex.
Sounds good.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the end of where I ended up.
You wound up. Let me find the image here. Hold on. Too many windows open on my screen. You wound up right in here, just kind of at the base of this northmost bridge.
Okay. Thank you.
So now Link is like looking over and he's seeing like 2 T-Rexes now.
Yeah, that is in fact true. Were you going to do anything else there, Zilfire?
No, at that point, I guess I'm still closest to Leodrin, so I'm just going to stay close to him and go from there.
Well, then we are back at the top of our order. So that's going to be Linka.
All right, so I'm like, I'm looking all around to this place, like, there's a brief flash of a thought in my head about grabbing my box of, or my little wrapped bundle of, what do you call these things, or getting out my tinderbox and thinking about wondering if this might be a good idea to like set the T-Rex on fire, but then I'm like seeing all the tar everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, that probably would just put us all into an inferno. So instead, I go ahead and I'll take another shot at it with my my short bow. I am actually down to 17 shots left. So now 16 after this. All right, that might actually hit. 13 plus 7, 20.
That is a hit. Excuse me. That is going to be a hit.
All right, and I don't have any allies that are like within range of the T-Rex, so I don't get any of the sneak attack, I don't believe. So let's see what this does. Big old 2. So 2 plus 4 is 6.
All right.
And I will. Gosh, what am I going to do? I guess I'll go ahead and move across the bridge to the north there. I'll go ahead and take my movement, and if I need to use my what do you call it, my cunning action to add another dash at the end of that, then or actually, if I can find a place to hide, I'll do that.
You're able to make it across, and on the other side, the bushes and shrubbery gets a bit thicker.
Okay. So yeah, I'll try and see if I can't find a hiding spot there to where I can shoot from.
Yep.
All right, cool. So I'll do that.
Leodron.
I turn to Zilfire and I think I should make a run for it and hold my action, waiting for Zilfire, so we can both, pedal feet.
All right. So that is going to be the T-Rex's turn. And it rolls over towards this illusory T-Rex. And it swipes at it first with its tail. But because it turned its entire body, it doesn't see that its tail passes right through this illusory T-Rex. So it turns back, and it attempts to bite this illusory T-Rex. And with a 26, were it a real T-Rex, it would sink its jaws into the neck of this other T-Rex zombie, and instead you hear the sickening crunch as the remaining part of its jaws bites down and clamps against itself. And this T-Rex just kind of shakes its head and realizes that it's not really a threat there, and turns back to face the rest of you. And Theric. Theric.
I think you're muted. I can't hear you talking.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I
sorry.
can hear you, yeah, but Theric
Okay.
himself.
Theric.
I think I heard someone say something about trying to outrun it. If that is the case, then I will hold and see what the others are doing.
Type 2 diabetes doesn't care who you are, man.
So while Theric is holding and attempting to fight off type 2 diabetes.
That's what happens when I try to watch the part as well.
Zilfire.
I look over at Leodrin and kind of give him just a little smile and say the dwarf is not the only one who can disappear. And I reach out and touch him and cast invisibility on both of us so that we can turn invisible and go ahead and move. I'll go ahead and move my 30 feet.
So both you and Leodrin are invisible?
Correct.
All right.
All right. So if I can, I don't know how you want to work this, but since I can't see either one of them, I have no clue what they're doing. Actually, whether they're trying to get away or what they're doing. Um, I'd actually like to cast a spell on myself if I can.
Sure.
I'm going to cast Mirror Image on myself,
All right.
and I'll hold the bridge against the creature when it comes this way.
So I need to know, going back, because Leodron, you held your action until Theric, or rather Zilford Fire did anything.
Yeah.
So if you guys are beating feet across this bridge in your invisibility, is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming he would move after that. I'm hoping he would move after that.
So are you guys moving together? Are you going one after the other? Who's going first?
I believe the way I would have done it when I reached out to touch him, and before he realized he was invisible, he would have seen me take the first step and hoping that he would take my lead and follow somewhat behind me. So I would go first, I guess.
We could still go one by one because we're still we've got that rope.
Yep, and it's invisible too. So.
All right. So yeah, you guys are able to make it across to that middle section, and then Theric, you cast Mirror Image.
Yep.
Let me get this straight, because everybody held action. So we are back to Linka.
All right. So those two guys basically just disappeared, and so I'm like kind of like watching from the bushes and everything, and I see those two disappear, and then I see the T-Rex is now focused back on Thekir. Is he back on him now?
It's kind of reeled around, and if anything, it would be looking at the four dwarves that are standing on the center island.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I forgot the mirror image part. That's right. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be something around here, something that we can do to try and bring this thing down. And so I'm looking around at my surroundings. Like, what's to the north of me? Is there anything like a I don't know, like a cave or something that we could hide in, or something that would kind of get us out of danger?
Behind you, continuing down the path, about 100 yards, appears to be the mouth to a mine entrance.
All right. So I like look back down and I'm like, hey, up here! There's a mine entrance over here. We can get out. Oh, we're not going to be able to bring that thing down. We've got to get out of here. So I will actually make my way towards the. Well, no, could I hit it from here with a shot from my bow?
Oh yeah, well, you can take a shot at it.
I mean, well, I can attempt.
You can
May
attempt.
I?
You can attempt an attack on it.
Nice. Okay, let me. I'll go ahead and might as well use a shot. That is natural 19. They don't have crits in this anyway. Never mind. Okay, so natural 19, so plus 7, so that's a hit. Let's see here, d6. Oh, of course, big ol' 1. So that's 5 points of damage to the horrible monstrosity, and then I am going to beat feet towards the mine entrance to see if see how safe it is at this point.
Excellent. Yep, you're able to get pretty much just outside the entrance to that. Leodron. Invisible Leodron.
Invisible Leodron is indeed invisible and escaping. Still commencing with the escape plan until we are across that second bridge.
Okay. So you're able to make your maneuvering and you get across that first island. So that brings us to the T-Rex, who is now going to attack one of the Therics And it's going to bite down with a 26, so you need to determine which version of you just got attacked, Theric.
That's, of course, the authentic, real thing. Except no substitute.
Oh, so you rolled that it's actually attacking you.
Yep. And what did you roll?
26.
I can't fix that. Go ahead.
As its jaws clamp down on you, you take another 9 points of piercing damage.
All right.
You are once again grappled.
I disapprove.
And it is your turn, Theric.
Can I Misty step from here to the far side of the...
Yes.
I think that's the way to go. Oof.
All right. All right, so then that brings us back to...
I'll actually move my 25 feet further on.
Okay. Yep, and that leaves Zilfire.
Yep, same thing as Leah, and I'm still escaping, trying to get across that last bridge going towards the voice of Linka that yelled at us to come this way.
All right. So at this point, with everyone pretty much getting across, and the T-Rex is it's moving pretty slowly. It's big. It's mostly dead, undead, slogging through tar. As you get across that last bridge, it crashes down. The wood splinters and shatters behind you. And you're able to leave it behind as it begins trying to extricate itself from the tar further. You're able to move much quicker than it, and you are able to all maneuver yourself to the entrance to this cave.
When the bridge falls, I say, "Is that one of you fool elves?"
No, it ain't one of the elves. That's that damn beastie cutting off our way out of here.
Well, I don't know where the elves are. I don't want to leave them.
At that point, you would see the spell dispel, and you'd see me and Ledrin show up right in front of Theric's face, and with just these grins across our face of "See, dwarf, you're not the only one who can disappear."
If I had a lick of perception, you'd get an AOO right in the face right now. Be aware of that. Get in that mind before that thing gets back out.
I don't know about Leodrin grinning and everything, but yeah, he'd appear with you.
Oh, by the way, anybody got any healing bits?
I don't think I've ever heard them referred to as healing bits. I love that. Healing bits.
One of us, just took on a big old Lich, big old T-Rexo Lich thing that gnawed on me and stuff. Look, there's more of my insides showing than my outsides.
Maybe the halfling can share some of those purple crystals for you.
Well, I ain't quite that far off.
I don't think that'd be a good idea at all.
All right, fine. Let's go.
Hang on. He hesitates for a second, and he grasps his pack. And
oh wait, whose pack is this, by the way?
Thank you kindly.
Yeah.
Grabs his pack and, puts the rope back in it. Gets everything situated.
Lincoln looks through his pack and so I'm sorry. I thought I had something here that might help, but sorry.
That's fine. Follow me, fellas.
He pulls out his lantern and he gets it lit up so that I don't know if everybody, because I think I'm the only one who can't see in the dark, right?
Yep.
So I kind of need the lantern for myself, so I kind of like use it. It's a hooded lantern, so it's not like totally shining out to everything, but
Actually, as you walk into this mine, you find that the interior of the mine is illuminated in purple pulsating light. As soon as you all enter the mine, you see that the shafts look as you would expect a mine shaft to look, with heavy wooden supports, rails on the floor where mine carts are pushed. But you see, growing out of the walls at odd angles and various intervals, you see jagged, giant crystals, easily 10 times and more the size of the crystals in your pouch. And they're all glowing with a purple light. And you hear this thrumming. And the light pulsates along with this constant thrum that you feel more than hear.
All right, folks. I have an idea. This crap's been going on for, what, a week, right?
that's what the girl said, yeah.
I think it'll wait another hour. Say we wander outside again and kind of hole up for about an hour. I, for one, would...
As you say this, you hear from outside the mine.
Yep, let's go on in. Follow me.
All right, so Link is like kind of wary about this just because of all the different crystals that are in here now, but he's definitely a lot more wary of the beast outside. So he continues on inside as well. Kind of use. Sorry, I guess he doesn't need his lantern or anything.
No, you don't. Everything's kind of bathed in this purple, glowing, pulsating light. And as y'all continue, kind of moving along the mine shaft, as it slightly descends, some of the crystals, they seem to grow more and more sparse, and you come up to an area that is completely engulfed in dark ahead of you. And as you approach it, and perhaps, Linka, you think, well, maybe I do need that lantern, you see a single pinpoint of purple light appear in front of you. And then another one. And 2 more. And then 10 more. And then 20 more. All of these lights seem to be in matched pairs.
Oh, bugger me.
And as the lights grow brighter, you begin to see by the light of these purple orbs, and you realize that you are seeing into the eyes of at least 40 people gathered around in this cavern.
So are they looking at us? Are they approaching us, or are we just kind of?
They are not moving. They are staring at you with purple, glowing eyes.
Right. He like glances over his shoulder at Leodrin and Zelfur to see if they have any ideas about this.
When you glance over at Leodrin, you see him gently move his trench coat to the side, exposing where he had shoved the leg of the chair in his belt, and then he just pulls it out and grips it tightly in hand. Color of his knuckles is growing bone white as he clenches it tightly.
Good. In my condition, I probably can't take more than about 20. Can y'all handle the rest?
What are you talking about? There's only 4 of us. And you want to try and fight these things?
Hear any better ideas?
Sorry, go ahead.
None of these things are moving. They don't blink. They don't move. They don't breathe. They just stare at you with their unblinking, purple, glowing eyes.
It's like if I kind of like move like like from left to right, I'm just kind of like moving over this way. Do I feel like their gaze follows me at all?
It's sort of like when you stare at a painting and you move around and you feel as though it's following you around. It's not that they're looking at you directly, but you just feel their eyes on you.
At that point, Zilfire would look towards Link and say, I believe they're under some kind of necromantic spell also, and I would cast Detect Magic then.
You almost can't see for how bright the blue light of your Detect Magic spell is.
You're likely to pass out.
Pure necromancy emanates from everywhere around you.
I'm looking around to see if any of them have a bald head.
None that you can see.
That's a good idea. That was a good idea.
You hear, as they all open up their mouths, in unison, you hear 40 people speak and say, "He's waiting for you."
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Point the way. We're ready for him too. Let's get this over with.
And 40 people, vacant-eyed, vacant-minded, begin to part, opening a pathway. And beyond them, you can see the entrance to another cavern from which a bright purple light emanates.
All right, come on, fellers.
Oh, how do you sure we got to go in? I mean,
You can go
maybe
out.
we might have a better chance against that lizard.
And behind you, from up the way you came, where you know the entrance to be, you hear...
Nearly frozen, Leodrin is standing there, his knuckles, just blazing white, almost as if the flesh is about to tear itself away. He's gripping this chair leg so tightly. He's beginning to shake, his muscles tensing up so much that you can visibly see the chair just vibrating in the air, and he's as stiff as a board.
Hey now there. Let's keep our heads about us, right? No need to get all aggressive here. I mean, look at there. They're just parting the way for us. Let's see. Oh hell. Like Lincoln can't explain any of this. He's trying to keep a level head, but it's just.
All right, fellers.
He is waiting for you. And they all raise their hands and point toward the glowing cavern.
I'm moving that way, and I'll turn around and I'll say to him, if this feller uses magic, I'm going to stay back a little bit. I think I might be of more use there, but somebody else is going to have to step up.
I was better back in Mervant. What am I doing here? Okay, Linka, you can do this. Hurry, you can do this. And so he kind of okay, I can do it. And so he starts moving forward. He draws his well, actually no, he's gonna keep his hands free of weapons for right now. He's gonna go. And I guess follow in the footsteps behind Theric.
All right.
So you're all heading into this giant cavern.
Yep.
All right.
Under protest of my better judgment, yes.
Alrighty. So, get rid of this. So you walk into this cavern and it's almost incomprehensible in its construction. You ain't never seen nothing like this. And I'll tell you what you see here in just a moment. So you come in from the west, and you see what at first looks like purple, glowing ice. But you realize that the entire floor is crystalline and carved with massive runes. Crystals jut out from the walls. And as you approach this crystalline floor, you can see it's several inches thick. And below it, you can see the thick, viscous tar bubbling and broiling beneath it. And across the room, from the entrance, you see what appears to be a makeshift crystalline throne. And seated upon this throne is an incredibly tall human, bald, gaunt. The very crystals that protrude from the cavern walls protrude from his skin, his forehead, his neck, his shoulders, his knuckles. And immediately to his right side, hovering next to the throne, is a large reptilian purple skull. Linka, you've seen this skull before, but all of you can see this skull and this figure with a crystal-enhanced hand just strokes it. And he looks over at you and he says, I knew that eventually you would find your way to me. Why is it that adventurers can never resist the lure of a lich?
Hi. What the hell?
It's usually much more difficult when the Lich's sister leads you here. Proud of yourself?
Sister. So, he has a sister. They're all my tools. And of course, soon you will be too.
His sister Lily loved him very much.
Love? What does anyone know of love? Next to power.
What are you doing? You take up residence in old Jarek's body? Is that what you did?
As I take the townsfolk and suck their souls out to power my phylactery, I grow stronger every day. So I use this weak vessel. But even this weak vessel is stronger than you so-called heroes. Heroes more powerful than you, more than 1,000 years ago, tried to stop me. And they failed. As you will fail.
Oh dear. Oh, hey, look now, there's no reason to get all up in arms about things now. We can be reasonable people here. You know, if you got yourself a fill factory, whatever you got here, you know, you can keep it. We don't have any part of it. We just wanted to get that little girl out of here, but then she thought I was better to take her own life than to have to face become.
You may have kept her from becoming a part of my power. But you will more than make up for it. You try to bargain with me, halfling?
I
can
nothing
see
to bargain
from
with
the
you
pouch
for.
at your belt that even you can't resist the allure of my power. All of you have a place in this dance. What is about to take place is inevitable. And even if it weren't, do you think I would let you leave this place? And you can feel the oppressive press behind you as the zombified townsfolk crowd into the doorway, almost forcing you further into the room.
Hey, there's no need for that kind of thing. Hey, you want your crystals back? You can have your bugger crystals back. You know, like I try to reach for the pouch and like I'm like thinking about tossing it forward towards him, but I don't know. Can I? I mean, I'm thinking about my family again and all that stuff, but I don't know. Am I even able to?
Give me a wisdom save.
Oh Lord. The fantastical 2 again. So no.
You do have you do still have your inspiration.
Well, yeah, but it just counters. Doesn't it just counter my exhaustion thing for my wisdom save? So
no,
that would have.
You can re-roll.
Well, no, I rolled a 6 and a 2 because I already was rolling with the disadvantage. So if I had rolled it with advantage, then I would have had a 6. So, yeah, that's a failure.
Well,
I know how it is. So what are you saying? You got a name?
once I dispatch you four, the whole world will know the name of Vorgul Drakus.
Yeah. Whatever.
You are unable to pearl the pouch. You just can't do without it being on your belt.
Okay.
And as he says his name, Vorgul Drakus, he doesn't even make a standing motion. He just suddenly appears to implode into a black cloud. And in the center of the room, he appears and takes on a fighting stance and just looks at you. I'm over here wildly gesticulating and realizing you guys can't see me.
Oh.
And
That's right.
he just kind of takes on this fighting stance with the crystals that are a part of his fists. And he says, "Let us get this over with."
I accept your offer. All right, so he's in Jarek form. Is that right? He kind of poofed over.
He disappeared for a moment in an implosion of black and purple smoke and reappeared.
But is he in his Jarek form? Is it a different form? What do we see?
Oh, it's still the same form. 1 second. 1 moment, please. I'll be right back.
La 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 la.
All right, kids, man, love them. Right at the climactic Lich battle, the kid shows up.
Oh boy.
All right. Yeah, he's in his same form, and I'm not going to try to do a share screen, but I will show you what Jarek the Lich Fiend looks like.
Oh, nasty.
So that's what you guys are up against. All right, let's do this.
I'm assuming we're rolling initiative now.
Yes, let's roll initiative. And I just pulled in my book over here. There we go.
Can I roll? Can I choose to use inspiration on my initiative roll?
Certainly, if that's where you'd like to use it.
The exact same number. I'm the king.
All right, let's see. We got. All right. What did you have, Derek?
11.
Oh, there it is. Theric and Linka, roll again. Straight D20 roll.
Give me a second. I'll be right back.
Again, consistency, 11.
At a 3.
Okay. All that doesn't mean you have a 3 for initiative. That just means of the two of you, Theric will go right before you.
Ah, gotcha.
And you all beat the Lich Fiend. So, Zilfire, Whitehall, you are first in the initiative order. What are you going to do?
Yeah, during the conversation that started out with the Lich, I would have probably moved about 5 foot over from the party, just kind of knowing the power of this necromancer and what his power could be, and preparing for this. And I take both arms when he reappears in the room. I take both arms and outstretch them with both hands, and you see these beams of crackling energy just streak straight towards him. And I'm gonna do Eldritch Blast, 2 beams at him. Oh, one good roll. Let's see, like a 26 versus AC.
That is a hit.
And that'd be 11 force damage on that one. And the second beam is probably going to miss. 13 versus AC.
That does miss. It flies wide.
Okay, so I hit him with the 1 beam, and I'll stand my ground. I'm not moving.
Warlocks! And that is going to be Leodron. You're next.
Leodron staring at young Lily's brother, or what has become of young Lily's brother. Then looking into his hand, his open hand, it's almost clenched like a claw, but not quite a fist. He begins muttering over and over, louder and louder, and finally, when you can hear his mutterings, you can hear him clearly speak the words "Pythanosum fulgar," and his hand bursts into an electric, a dance of electricity, almost like, snakes and tendrils flying around his arm, and he reaches out with his arm from where he's standing and fires off a bolt of electricity. And I'm going to spend my inspiration. I'll make sure. Okay, that's much better. I got an 18 on the dice.
And that is good enough to hit.
Alright, cool. So I just hit him with a witch bolt.
And that is, what type of damage is that? Lightning damage?
Lightning. I deal 7 points of lightning damage.
So you see this lightning as it's cascading over his body, and some of the electricity seems to flow directly to the crystals and dissipate out, discharge into the room, and flow over some of the crystals in the walls. That is going to be Theric. You are up next.
All right. And the last few syllables aren't even any language or anything. It sounds like breaking glass. And I'm going to cast 3rd level Shatter, targeting him, hoping that it might affect the floor under his feet as well, being it's made of crystal, but it's magical, so it may not help, but it's worth a shot. So he needs to make me a con save. DC is pretty low. 12-ish, 13-ish, 13.
Con save, you say?
Yep.
He fails. What happens?
Alright. He's going to take 48 thunder damage.
I'm going to assume you said 4d8.
I prefer the other.
I do too.
That's 18. thunder damage, and then well, if he is stone or crystal enough, then he would have had disadvantage on the save, but he failed it anyhow. Non-magical objects that aren't being worn or carried also take the damage if they're in the spells area. So
what you see is this thunder rumbles out from you from casting this spell. Is you actually see some of the crystals protruding from his body actually shatter and dissipate some of the sound as it resonates out. What was the damage total on that?
18.
And while he seems to be affected by it, he seems to have absorbed some of that damage. But you actually see at his feet, the floor, spider webs of cracks appear in the floor.
That's for your sister.
I have no sister, only servants. Linka.
But he does.
Yeah, like the halfling's like looking back and forth at the other three as they're like casting these just massive amounts of magic and everything, and he's just like, "All right, what have I got myself into?" And so he's like looking around like to see if there's any other enemies that are coming in, just to make sure there's nothing else that they got to worry about besides this guy.
40 zombies behind us.
Yeah.
The 40 zombies behind you are just staring vacantly ahead, and there appears to be nothing else in the room with you, save for this giant floating skull by the throne.
Like, and it's the same size as it was before, right? Like it was.
It looks exactly the same as the one you saw before.
All right. And how high up is it? Could I reach it?
It's across the room at the by the throne.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna I'll take out my short sword, and I'm gonna go ahead and try and get in behind the Lich and see if I can't strike it from there. Hopefully, I'm kind of able to coordinate with one of the others. Are any of the others close enough that I can manage?
I would say because the attack that just happened was the shatter spell that affected him, that you would be able to move during that and position yourself.
Okay, so I can take my cunning action and get myself stealthed in behind him and try and... Cool, right on. I'll use inspiration. Well, I can declare inspiration after I roll. Is that right?
Correct. After you roll, but before I tell you what happened.
Perfect. Okay, let's give it a shot. So I'll yell something after I'm done here. Let's see. Yes, I'm going to use the inspiration because that was a big old 3. 18, perfect. So 18 plus 7, I believe. Yep.
That's a hit.
Maths is hard. I will figure that out. All right, so D6. So that's 3d6. So 1d6 plus 3d6 plus 4. So I'm going to roll this out. Ooh, 6. A 4 is 10. A 5 is 15. And another 6. Yes! 21 plus 4 is 25 points.
So you get in behind him, and he doesn't even know you're there as he's yelling back at Theric. I have no sisters, only servants. Gah! As you slice into him with your sword.
Looks like you got plenty of blood to spare there, and you ought to be concerned about that blood that's been spilled.
And as you're saying this, and as you're kind of finishing off your move, you see as the wound kind of knits itself a little bit. And it doesn't close fully, but it closes partially.
As I kind of step back and I see that, and I kind of lock eyes with Theric and I say, "Use that thing that you just did on that big ugly skull up there. Break it up."
And it is now the Lich Fiend, the aspect of Orgul Drakus, and the person that's the closest to him is, in fact, Linka.
Good answer.
And as he turns, since you just attacked him, as he turns to you, he just raises his crystalline fists. And almost faster than you can see, you just see streaks as he begins a frenzied beating on you, as he just goes, as his fists just begin pummeling at you. And it's going to be, it's basically 2 attacks in here.
Ouch.
And the first one is going to be a 12.
Oh, phew. Okay, that misses. I got a 15.
And he misses with that first hit, but that next attack that comes in is a 22.
Oof.
And you feel the full force of this Lich Fiend as he plunges his fist into you.
Hang on. I'm ready to have a reaction.
Well, I was going to say, can I use Uncanny Dodge to have my damage on that?
Well, hang on, you may not.
And I have to.
No, never mind. I can't do it. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right.
So
can I use that, or what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of your features. So you would get 15 bludgeoning damage and 2 piercing damage.
Oh my gosh.
So you will take 8 bludgeoning damage and 1 piercing. Or I'm sorry, that's not bludgeoning damage. That's necrotic damage.
Oh.
So you take 8 necrotic damage and you take 1 piercing damage. So you've taken 9 points of damage as this Lich Fiend has pounded into you.
All right.
And he uses this power that you just saw a moment before, as soon as he pummels you, he just goes, and there's a cloud of purple and black smoke, and he appears across the room. And as he appears across the room, you see him suddenly drop down to one knee, and you hear not the rasping voice of Vorgul Drakus, but you hear a more human voice that goes, "No! Please! I've had enough! Stop!" And he looks up at you, and you see the eyes of Jarek pleading with you. But he closes his eyes and he looks down, and suddenly you see the purple eyes of Vorgul Drakus looking at you again. And he goes, and he takes his fist and he goes into the crystal floor. And
oh, hell.
You suddenly feel the shake and the vibration of the floor as you are now standing on little islands of bobbing crystal, as the floor shatters into pieces and sinks down into the tar, and bubbling tar is now boiling around you. And what this means mechanically is that any movements you make, you will have to make dexterity checks. This terrain counts as difficult terrain, and you are floating on little islands of crystal.
Did he use a spell to do that, Jake?
Not that you're able to determine.
Okay, never mind.
Oh boy.
And it is now Zilfire's turn.
Yeah, seeing the halfling take this damage and being pummeled down, and then the Lich reappearing in the action he took, Zilfire was ready to counter that spell, and knowing that at the last moment that it wasn't a spell, it caused that he stands his ground, and he's going to concentrate his mind again and think, okay, this energy has to come from me again, and cast Eldritch Blast, 2 more rays at him. Let's see. One of them's going to be like let's see, that's 23 to hit.
That is a hit. What is it you cast again?
Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
And the first one, that beam will do max damage, so 10 plus 4, so 14 force damage. And the second beam is going to miss again. It's a bad roll. It was a 3, so it'll miss. Even with modifiers, it'll still miss.
Sorry, this is the part where I have to do math. So, as you hit him with this Eldritch Blast, this force just pummels into him. Again, you see the power of Vorgul Drakus break free, and you see Jarek. You see his eyes bleeding out, and he says, "No, please, just let me die. No more of this." And he actually takes a step toward the tar. But as his foot begins to step off, you see that purple light come back. And he almost seems to struggle, and suddenly he goes, "No! I will finish all of you!" And it is Leodron's turn.
I don't understand the entire scope of the room, so I don't know how far he is exactly. But if he's close enough, I'm going to try to charge him.
So, in terms of the map that we were looking at, you're basically on one piece, and he's on another piece of crystal, so you would have to charge and jump.
Whatever I gotta do, I'm gonna do it.
All right? So you're going to need to make either an athletics or an acrobatics check.
Well, I think I'm gonna make it because I rolled a 19, and if it's acrobatics, it's a 24. If it's athletics, it's a 22.
Either way, it's you leaping across the tar.
Okay, so with his right hand still smoking from the spell he had cast earlier, he jumps up in the air and he's just going wild and he's screaming, "She loved you!" And he grabs the chair leg with both hands, and instead of beating him with it, he's trying to stab it into him as if it were a stake.
Are you imbuing this with some kind of power?
Nope.
Okay.
The power of love.
So with the power of Huey Lewis behind you, you strike.
Oh, yeah.
That's terrible. I get a 16 and a 10.
And you come down intending, as you leap across and you scream out and you come at him, you just see his mouth open wide into a grin, and with one hand kind of behind his back, he just steps to the side and watches as you completely miss him.
And these blows not falling true, him putting so much of himself, being so reckless, his emotions overcoming his intellect, he turns to Vargul's vessel, and this time, the first time during this entire endeavor, his eyes are visibly watering, and he's like, "No!" And action surge and take another 2 strikes at him.
All right.
Hopefully better strikes. Okay, they're much better strikes. What is that? A 19 and a 17.
Those are both going to hit.
Okay, thank God. What would I be rolling for a chair leg?
It's an improvised weapon, but we'll treat it as a club.
Okay. Clubs are D6s, right?
I believe so, yeah. Just double check. And... Nope, D4.
D4s.
D4s plus strength.
Yeah, D4. So a 4 and a 1, so 5 total damage.
You can add, do you have any strength bonus?
No, like I said, against my better judgment.
Oh, all right. So your hits land solidly on him, And I imagine that your last blow, filled with emotion, that it strikes across his face. And for the first time, as he turns to look at you, you see something not quite the confidence and power that you've seen. You actually see his brows raise in surprise. And he looks around at all of you and he says, "No. No, this should not be possible." And it is Theric's turn.
You're right. It's not possible, but it's happening. Can I, when he teleported back over towards the throne, is that correct?
Say that again?
When he teleported towards the throne, is that correct?
Incorrect. He is at the, so he and, you guys, he and Leodron are kind of on this up near the top. They're at the bottom of this topmost island of crystal.
And the throne is like the bottom right, right?
Yeah, it's over here.
What is the dragon skull thing doing? Just
Floating there. Just floating there.
Can I make a knowledge arcana to see what I know about liches and phylacteries?
Sure.
24.
You know that the phylactery is the Lich's source of his power. It's what he needs to be a Lich. And you know that if a Lich is seemingly destroyed, that he will return to his phylactery until he can gather strength and return in the flesh again.
Would I know how to deal with a phylactery? What the best way? Would physically destroying it? Would a dispel magic work on it? Do I have any idea?
Magical attacks against a phylactery, you know, need to be very high level, but that they can be susceptible to brute force, depending on their construction.
All right, I'm gonna cast the same shatter spell I cast before, and I'm gonna look at the kid while I'm doing it. But the last second, I'm gonna spin and I'm gonna target the area with the dragon skull and the throne.
All right, go ahead and roll up.
So the skull thing gets a save once.
And it fails the save.
Oh my goodness. 5, 6, 7, 8. So 11, 18, 26 points of damage.
So, yeah, describe the effect of the spell as it completely destroys this, as Shatter does what you would expect it to do to a crystalline skull.
I finish the spell and I say, "Lily loves him," and it just begins to vibrate on the inside, and you just see it slowly, little cracks start to appear, and then it just explodes, literally covering about half of the room and slamming into the wall behind, and then it kind of rains down, and where the crystal lands on crystal, it's like ting, 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 and the other hits the lava underneath, and it actually kind of sizzles a little bit as it lands and gets devoured.
And the Lich Fiend cries out, "No! No!" And he's reaching toward where it was. And Linka, it is your turn.
So Link is like looking back, and he's thinking, like, he's having the image of that skull coming at him back at the house and everything, and he's like, he just kind of gives it a firm nod, like, okay, I don't have that thing trying to come up and bugger me behind my back. And so he like starts leaping towards the lich. He'll acrobatics his way over to it and try and give it another hit.
All right, give me
Trying
an
to join
acrobatics roll.
All right. The one thing that I'm actually good at is some acrobatics. I'm a second story guy. All right, that is a 19.
You do it.
All right, so I land down next to him and I say, this is where the part where you go and you join Lily. And so he'll slash across with his short sword, try and give him a what for.
I'm gonna give you advantage on that attack.
Ah, well that's excellent because I just rolled a 4. All right, a 12 is much better. Plus 7 is a 19.
All right, roll a
All right.
damage.
Cool, and then with my buddy Leodrin here, I'll add in some damage on that. So that's a 4, a 5 is 9, 2 is 11, and another 5 is 16, plus 4 is 20.
So, why don't you, Linka, describe the death of this aspect of Vorgul Dorakus as you slice across him?
So Link is like kind of dodging along the crystal floaties, I guess, as they are, and he's like bouncing along. And as they kind of dip down into the tar, he uses the uptick of the swing to like kind of flip himself over in the air. And as he's coming in, he like lands down next to Leodrin, and he sees like his rage at like what's going on, and Link is like feeling that same thing right now, because for him everything is family, everything is the clan, and it's just this is the truest justice he's ever known in his life, just short of actually freeing his people. So as he brings that short sword along, he like grips it in both hands and just drags it across the midsection of it, and it's just kind of carving him open all the way in towards his midsection, and as he like finishes it off, he like I don't know, you can see there's like tears actually starting to bubble up in his eyes as well, as he's hopefully seeing the end of this thing.
And as the now defeated Lich Fiend drops first to its knees and then topples forward, falling over the edge of the crystal, the tar just seems to pull it down further in, and you actually notice as the body is slipping into the tar that the tar is boiling less and settling down. And across the room you hear murmurs as you see where the townsfolk were gathered in. Their eyes no longer glow with purple. They are haggard and exhausted looking, but confused as well, as they don't seem to quite understand why they are here or where they are. And as you make your way over to them over the course of the next few hours, you're able to kind of get some sense out of the townsfolk, and they've all got the same stories of being under the influence of this strong power, and they've basically spent the last week in sheer terror, trapped inside their own minds, knowing that they were being drawn in to power this Lich's phylactery. It's going to be a long road of recovery for this town, as they've lost several people. Mrs. Tamblin, Leroy, Molly, and Lily, a few others. Someone you later found out to be named Carlington was the first zombie you encountered on the road. Much recovery is needed, and you stick around for a little while, but you know that this town needs to grieve on their own. It's time for you to move on down the road. And as
I was going to ask, is there a chance that I can dump these crystals finally, or is it still stuck in me?
As soon as he's gone, you are actually abhorred at the idea that you have these crystals. You realize that the power that they had over you, and I imagine that you just toss them into the tar. And as you are kind of going about helping things, or you've moved on down the road, kind of in as an epilogue, imagine that you were a bird that has returned to the air as the small critters and animals begin to return to this area as it's no longer oppressed by darkness. Imagine in the smoldering ruins of Lily's house as the bird flies around and settles perhaps in a tree overlooking. It cocks its head to the side as it sees a little bit of rubble kind of move to the side. And from inside the rubble, you see a burnt hand rise up out of the rubble, and another hand rise up out of the rubble. And you see the burnt husk of a young girl as it climbs up out of the rubble. And another hand reaches up, and it reaches down and helps this other headless corpse rise up out of the ashes. And they shamble over to the fence at the back of the yard, and with the charcoal of their own burned fingers, they begin drawing sigils on the fence. And you would hear this raspy voice from this burnt husk of a girl saying, "It's okay. It's okay, Mr. Dracus. We'll try again. We'll keep trying." The end.
No.
You won, but did you win?
Did you really?
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you all for your participation. As always, Ken, Tony, and Nelson, it's a pleasure to play with you guys, and I'm not leaving you out of that, Jeff. This being the first time that we've interacted, it was an absolute blast having you join this party. I think you guys were fantastic. There was some great role play in there. I had a blast with it. I hope you did too.
Yep.
I would normally like to sit around and talk with you guys for a little while about the adventure, but in 8 minutes I'm going to be talking with the publishers at Absolute Tabletop about this very adventure, so I would invite you to tune in to that. And you, the audience, Horror at Misty Meadows, available at Absolute Tabletop. And in the next 7, 8 minutes, I'm going to be sitting down and talking with Absolute Tabletop, where only for this live broadcast, and you'll see it at the end of the interview, they are going to choose 4 people to win a free copy of this adventure from Absolute Tabletop, chosen from the comments that were left on another video on the channel, describing each of them as a big bad evil guy. So I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast and get ready to jump over and talk to those guys. Gentlemen, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. I will gladly roleplay with you all again, whether I play in what game you're running or you join me on another adventure. Cool. And to the audience, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Nelson, Tony, Ken, and Jeff. Make sure you check out their channels that they promoted at the beginning if they have channels to promote. I know some of them do. And I've been Mini Terrain Domain. You've been watching MTD. Mitada.